Okay, looks like we're live. Hello, everybody. I'm Chandler Klebs, and I'm here with my friend Gaius and his friend Angie. This is the first time I've met Angie. We're like three vegans, and we're going to be talking veganism. And this is one of the first hangouts I've done in a long time that didn't include PAFO. Because even though I'm pretty sure we all love PAFO, there's two issues. First of all, the guy always takes his shirt off. Okay, he always takes his shirt off.
It's the place.
He takes his shirt off, okay, and then he doesn't want people to see him without his shirt. He doesn't care if we see him, but he doesn't want people all over YouTube seeing him without his shirt. So then he demands that I make that video private and then release an audio only version. And personally, I like having the
visuals.
The visuals where everyone can see us. It adds so much to it for those who are more visual. And so
it's more engaging.
Yeah. So as long as nobody takes their shirt off, I can keep this video public. And
I'll do my best.
Yes.
No promises.
Yeah. Okay. So, and another thing is PAFO tends to get loud, and there was this issue. Okay, where I was just joining the guys with the hangout they were doing, and so PAFO was being really loud, and so I'm trying to yell louder than him to get him, because he was getting off into irrelevant stuff. Because Gaius asked a bunch of really good questions and stuff, but then PAFO kind of was reactionary, gets off onto other stuff that wasn't even addressed. I mean, and I think we can actually do things much simpler. I think that when it comes to explaining why people should go vegan, what the true definition of veganism is, and all the benefits and challenges that come with it, I feel like it's best for us to not get caught up on every little detail. I mean, there are differences between various people who call themselves vegan, and that's to be expected because they're all different people, obviously. And I feel like the main thing that they have in common is the big three. No meat, no dairy, no eggs. And I feel very confident at explaining why vegans avoid those things. And when it gets it into other things, like about pet ownership and shearing of sheep, and I've got my opinions, but I'm not like dogmatic about it and debate people, because I don't feel like I'm confident enough on that to, or maybe it's not even worth wasting the time when we should be focusing on the core, and so. Yeah, so I mean, we could all share details to our audience about like how long we've been vegan, what made us go vegan, and and how has our health improved, or how has our worldview changed since going vegan? Because I've had all kinds of experiences since I went vegan, like at the end of 2013. And so I mean, any one of us could start. Who'd like to go first?
I'd like to start. And right quick, Angie, you are coming up on 3 years this August. Yeah. Is that right? Okay, yeah. See, I'm a newbie, so.
Welcome to the squad.
Yeah. I guess Chandler, I'll ask you first, and then hopefully Angie can ask, answer the same question. How did you first get introduced to veganism? I mean, did you have someone approach you and direct you into that way, or did you see documentaries, or maybe both? And then you mentioned 4 years, so I guess that's did you say starting back in 2013? Is that when you first?
Yeah, like 2013 was a big year. First I turned vegetarian, then I turned atheist, then I turned vegan, and there was a whole lot of stuff that went on in that year. I mean, that was the year of me listening to hours upon hours of podcasts, so I became a little bit more educated. So here's what really happened is, okay, years ago, like, okay, I was a Christian, but what was bizarre about it is there was the issue of abortion, and for some reason, like the issue of abortion stirred up all kinds of emotion in me. And at the time, being a Christian, that actually spelled the death of the Christian worldview for me. You know, there was so much. And of course, I don't want to get sidetracked into that. But then here's what happened. The reason I learned about veganism was because there was an asshole in a Facebook abortion debate group. It was the Uncensored Abortion Debate group on Facebook. Stay away from that group, people. That's the nastiest place on the internet. Okay, people are mean. However, here's what happened. So this person asked me if I was vegan, knowing I'm anti-abortion, and I'm like, well, no, I'm vegetarian though, and they said, well, you're full of shit, and that was all they said. So, okay, so I'm full of shit because I'm not vegan. So then I get on Amazon, okay? I just search on Amazon.com for vegan. I come across this book, Why We Should Go Vegan, by Magnus Finding. That guy, he lives in Denmark, and he writes some great books. But so it was this very short book. It was actually a free Kindle book. It was probably still is. I don't know how he got it free. But so he covers, in sequence, he covers the health aspect of it, the ethics, and then the environmental thing, all in one short book. It's really not that long. And so after reading that, I learned several things that I didn't know. For one thing, I, like most people, was never aware that cows have to have given birth to a calf in order to produce milk. Most people actually think that they just have milk all the time for no reason.
Just milk.
And like, but then after I learned, wait a minute, they're mammals just like us, just like humans produce milk at that time, so do cows. And so if cows just had all this surplus of milk all the time without having to be pregnant and give birth to calves, then the dairy wouldn't be as much of an ethical issue. But because of that basic biological fact I had to learn, that flipped my diet around, because I used to live off of cheese pizzas and like seriously.
Ketchup, right?
Yes, cheese pizzas and ketchup. That was my diet. Like every night I would have a cheese pizza. You know, they were like those $2 pizzas that I would get real cheap, but that was like my favorite thing. So then after I didn't want to be full of shit, so I had to go vegan. I was kind of forced into it by some jerk that got me curious about veganism, and he doesn't even know. It could have been a sheep. Who cares? But yeah. So then I learned more, and I learned. I mean, that one book already answered all my basic questions, but then I watched Earthlings, I watched Cowspiracy, I watched Forks Over Knives, I watched something else called Unity, and I've watched several other vegan documentaries. I can't remember which documentary said what, but they're all great, you know. And
yeah, I was naive enough to believe that there was like some pretty green meadow and all these cows go out there and these farmers just milk them and everybody's happy. But then after watching that documentary and finding out that they're constantly milked with these mechanical things for 4 years nonstop until they finally can't produce anymore. And then they're slaughtered after that because it costs too much to, just keep them as pets or what have you. So it was like a total flip-flop, like it totally had a paradigm shift, on what I thought was going on. Yeah,
I like to call it the matrix. You were blinded by the matrix. And here's the funny thing, guys. I didn't come up with that term. There's actually this video I saw a long time ago called the matrix, and it is explained by the cow Muphius. Muphius is his name. And it says that the matrix is the lies we tell ourselves about where our meat and dairy products come from. And I don't even remember the rest of the video. It's out there somewhere. But That's what it is. It's the matrix. We have this idea that, you know, good cheese comes from happy cows and that happy cows come from California. That's what we're sold. That's what our advertisement tells us. And you know, I feel stupid now. Okay. I feel really stupid that I didn't know this stuff, but I realized, like, okay, and you got to understand, my whole life, my first 24, 25 years of my life was all concerned with being a good enough Christian to not go to hell. I was so bogged down by, you know, Christianity and all this teaching, all this fear, that I had never, ever considered any issue. I didn't know any ethical stuff. I didn't know any science. I didn't know any philosophy. So of course I didn't have time. When you're all worried about going to hell, you're worried about that, it's really hard to, you know, educate yourself on other issues.
Yeah,
So
and a lot of that information is definitely not easily or readily available. Not in public schools. You know, I mean, you really got to dig and really search for it. Because it's all the best information is like really concealed and hidden. So, you know, another thing that I was naive about is thinking that all the cows, like in the back of my mind, I kind of knew that they were slaughtered. I honestly didn't really think about it at all because I had just so many other things in my life that I always thought about. But I always thought that they were at least humanely put down, like put into some you know, chamber where they're put to sleep gently and humanely with gas or something. And but you know, I had no idea. Not only are they horribly slaughtered, but the conditions, just them being raised, was awful, just horrible. I would think even that in of itself would be enough to turn someone off of meat and dairy. You know.
Yeah, I mean, even if they were killed painlessly, which a lot of people, they are fine with eating meat if it's killed painlessly, but all the pain they endure in their life up till then still makes it not worth it, even if they're killed painlessly. So that's an important thing.
And now I hear that science is actually trying to grow meat, you know, like in a dish or whatever, like for space stations and what have you. But now that we know that it's also bad for our health. So it's you know, normally it's usually the triple decker, you know, it's bad for the environment, bad for, you know, animal cruelty, and then bad for your health. So that was enough to convince me that it's just like, there's just no way that I can go back.
The vegan triangle. That's what I'd like to call that. There's these three huge aspects.
Triad.
This triangle, this trigon, you know, it's not just one. It's not just one reason why we should be going vegan. It's these main three categories of all the ways it's bad for our environment, for our health, and for the animals themselves. And what I would say is, like, each vegan has their own particular one of that triad there. They have one that they fall more heavily on. Some people care more about the health. Some people could care less about the animals or about health, but they're an environmentalist and they're worried about climate change. You know, you've got all these different people, but a lot of us care about all three.
Right. And how about you, Angie, if you could answer that same question about how you first got introduced to it?
So with me, it was at one point, so I guess starting back, so I've been vegan for almost 3 years now, and prior to that it was 2 years as a vegetarian, and then before that I was pescatarian for less than a year, which is just consuming fish. And at that point it was like health related reasons, but whenever I was in my 2 years of being a vegetarian, I met a vegan at work, and we just got talking and stuff like that, and I wasn't a very massive like fan of cheese. At the time, I already had given up gluten because I have celiac disease, so I was kind of used to the whole quitting thing. So food didn't really, or at least food started to lose its emotional substance for me. It was more like I would eat because, you know, it would fill me up, and, you know, it was less cruel to be vegetarian. But then I started looking into veganism. I watched the documentary Food Inc., which is really good too.
I saw that.
Yeah, and that's right away. As soon as I was done watching it, I was like, yeah, I quit everything. I quit everything in a heartbeat all the time.
That's the one documentary I haven't seen. I think I've seen them all except for that one.
Yeah, I saw that a long time ago. But you know what's funny about that, Angie, is that I was the same way in how overnight it was and how sudden.
Yeah.
And I like to say that I quit eating meat cold turkey because because that's the term when you just quit something they call it going cold turkey. But it's like,
I didn't even think of that.
We can
it's
say
like I quit
it cold tofu.
Yeah, we quit it cold tofu. That's good, Angie.
Yeah. Yeah, straight up. Yeah, and other than that, I don't know. I just like I've recently gone, I think as of 9 days ago, raw vegan. Due mainly to my celiac disease. A lot of the packaging, I was like, guys and I've been discussing gluten found in other grains such as rice and corn, and just and oats too. At one point, I kind of conditioned myself to be able to eat oats, and I hadn't tried it for a couple of months, and I went back to eating like a big bowl of oatmeal, and I was like totaled. So I eventually started like getting rid of buying anything else packaged, because I knew, you pick up an apple, it's a bloody apple. It's probably covered in pesticides, so I'll wash that off. But it's a lot easier. So when it came to like veganism, I guess I was already used to the kind of idea of just getting rid of things, and if it was better, either in terms of, like you're saying, environmental or for your health. For me, it was ethical reasons. That's why I was a junk food vegan for a while, because I couldn't give a shit about my health. It was like, I don't want my existence to harm anything else's existence. So like I got rid of all my makeup, all my wool, all my silk. I donated everything. And like I went like straight up vegan. Everything has to be vegan.
That's cool. I mean, Angie, that's really cool, because that is what's nice about you is like, okay, like you didn't have like this emotional attachment to food like a lot of people do. Like a lot of people, their food is their food. Don't question it. They eat what they want. And the idea of excluding something from their diet, the idea, like to them, like, because if you go into that with that mindset and you think about what you're giving up and you think, oh, I'm not eating this and I'm not eating that, then a lot of people, they feel like their right to eat is being taken away, and they don't like that. So that's why they act hostile to the vegans. But
I'm curious. How old was that person that you said you worked with that inspired you or nudged you in that direction?
She's older than me, and
like
had a crush on her.
Okay.
So her kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm curious. I find that interesting that she was of an older, like because usually it's this younger generation that I see that's really behind this movement. And right now, when it comes to the raw thing, like to me, the raw thing appeals to me personally, just because
it is awesome. It is.
I like eating things raw. The only things I don't like eating raw is like maybe green beans and broccoli. I like broccoli to be at least a little steamed, but I do like eating nuts and even bell peppers, onions. I love onions raw. So but I keep hearing there's like two camps right now going to war with each other.
I know.
When I was watching YouTube, I've been learning so much.
The meat eaters, it's the vegans and the vegans fighting. It's crazy. There's so many subcategories of vegans I didn't even know of until I got in there, and I was.
By the way, there's some kind of background noise that sounds like somebody's using a garbage disposal every now and then. Do y'all hear that?
Sometimes I hear that.
Or am I the only one that hears it?
Are we just kind of?
There it is. There it is. It's like it's like okay. Well, if I can go ahead and tolerate it. Just hopefully it's not being recorded that way. But I was looking at all these YouTube videos this week. I've been learning so much about veganism this week. I'm like sucking it up like a sponge, and I'm looking at like there are people who are for the all raw path, and then there are some people who say that it's good to sometimes steam or cook a little bit because it releases the nutrients, and then sometimes people who have like a sensitive gut like me It doesn't pass through too quickly. So definitely, if you have a damaged gut, you probably want to be cautious and maybe boil things and steam things. But I would like to try to move towards more raw. One of the things that they do say that is bad about raw is, like, for example, lectins being on seeds and beans, legumes. There are these toxins and things that are kind of a self-defense mechanism, so animals don't eat them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nuts are like that.
Yeah,
Nuts-
and so there's certain like toxins and acids and things, I guess, that's supposed to make it undesirable and can kind of be a little abrasive on the GI tract. So that's why, you want to soak them overnight and then boil them, like beans, for example. I don't even know if people can even eat beans raw. Can people eat beans raw? Like,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I never
yeah.
tried.
So
Yeah,
I'm
well, yeah, I was just gonna say, the raw veganism is interesting because I think it's good, but like I'm not like raw vegan exactly. I'm mostly raw vegan just because, I'll just eat some apples, bananas, and oranges and a lot of peanuts because peanuts are cheap, But like my mom actually cooks some amazing vegan meals. So she
So
does.
does mine.
Yeah, so my mom is cooking like all this broccoli and these onions and these carrots. She cooks these amazing meals. And so, but the truth is, if my mom ever dies, I'm probably going raw vegan because I'm too lazy to cook.
Aw.
That's probably
Right?
what.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
raw vegan. Raw vegan. Yeah, it's like there should be an ad like, are you too lazy to cook? Then raw veganism is for you.
I saw
Because-
a meme like that too, where he's like squinting. He's like, I'm not sure if I'm like raw vegan for my health or just because I'm too damn lazy or something.
Yeah.
I was like, it's true. It's like, it's the epitome of fast food. You see an apple, you put it in your face, and half the time, the Coke, like a cantaloupe comes with its own damn bowl that you can eat out of, like.
I've been eating
Crazy.
cantaloupe this week, and I've been loving it. For the first, I just recently had cantaloupe for the first time in so many years, and oh my gosh, I was like in heaven. It was like an explosion of flavor,
Oh, I know.
What you're saying, what y'all are saying, leads into my next question. And I'll let you go first this time, Angie. Are you the only vegan in your immediate family, and how hard has that made it to remain vegan? Because, you're surrounded by all this food that may look good, smell good, and even taste good, or kind of remind you of your childhood. And our family get-togethers, reunions, holidays, things like that difficult, if everybody else is non-vegan in your family.
Oh yeah, there's not one vegan in my family, and I'm like hardcore, for the animals, for the earth kind of deal. And for a long while, I think I went through all the typical vegan stages of like the vegan mind. So the first one is like all the excitement where you are right now, guys. You're learning things, you're like, oh, I'm excited, I want to share this. And then, you share it with people, and then you find out the backlash that you get, that they got all these different things that they want to start, shunning you about and saying suddenly why they have to eat meat or why humans need meat. And so eventually then you convert into that pessimistic vegan where you start lashing out and you start being, you know what, well, and you get all up in their faces and stuff. And then you get to where I am right now, the depressed vegan, where you honestly, you can't even talk about it or you're going to cry. Like that happens to me constantly. Where
do you get frustrated with people?
No, I try not to even have the conversations, to be honest, unless they want to be educated on it. I won't even bring it up because.
So when you say that it depresses you, is that because people disappoint you because they don't get it? They don't, you know what I mean? Like they're.
It's been more the situations that I've been in, because like one time because I'm in massage therapy and for school, and we were talking about fascia, this tissue in between skin to muscle, that if there's like adhesions within the fascia, it tightens the muscle and so on and so forth. So we were also talking about the bones, and at one point my teacher, she was like, oh, if anyone has any animal bones, do you want to bring it in? And I was like, okay, well, I do not want to be part of this. So I was like, just let me know. But I guess one of our students brought in raw, I think it was cow bones, and before
Wow.
she was able to address it to me, and there's another vegan in my class too, which we're like, ooh, and now another one of us has actually gone vegan in my class as well, so it's pretty cool. But anyways,
Yeah.
back to the.
That was a good example.
Yeah, back to the story though. Anyways, so she brought in the bones, and I was like, okay, just pretend they're human bones who've been donated to science. You know, they lived a life. I'm going through all this in my head to kind of just like fuse my nerves, because at that point I'm getting like the hot sweats, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be around this. And I was like, well, I'm not handling it. Like, I'm not touching it. And at one point, you know, one of the students, just out of their own curiosity, asks, oh, what is it? And then the other one says, it's cow bones. And I don't know why, but I was like, I need to leave. I was excused, and I just bawled. And I swear, I don't know why. I had like a mental hangover from it for days on end. And I was just like, I couldn't be. I was like, from that point, I couldn't be around anyone who was eating meat. I couldn't smell meat, or I would want to throw up. Like, I was like, I couldn't even be around it. I think I'm finally better. But oh no,
well,
I don't know.
That means you're definitely you're definitely going to be vegan, you know, gosh, for sure.
Yeah,
and how about?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, how about when you go to restaurants? Because I definitely want to know what people like vegans are faced with. I don't go out much, so you know, it's not a problem for me. But if you go to a restaurant, oh my God, you know, dairy and meat, it's just all so in everything, you know what I mean? And the problem that vegans are going to be faced with just trying to go, and you know, if you're in a big enough city, I guarantee you they have cool vegan restaurants and stuff like that. But if you're like living in a small town, that it's going to be a problem, I bet, especially down south.
Around that time, before that whole incident, I don't know, I was kind of okay with it, kind of numb myself to it, and I would kind of just avert my eyes, keep it on my plate, or like look at them, talk to them, not look at their plate. But I don't know, something around that time, it just like snapped something in me, and I wasn't able to go to restaurants. I wasn't able to eat with anyone where like I saw like the full turkey, I would want to cry and leave. And I was like feeling anxious, and I don't know. I feel like it's kind of leveled out and died down a bit, but you know, until the next time.
So Thanksgiving is out for you, you know, unless they have tofurkey or something, you know.
Well, they a lot of it's chopped up, thankfully. Like, I don't see the full bird, so I find I can almost disassociate with it when it's kind of not in like an animalistic form. When it's kind of been, I guess, chopped down to almost look kind of tofu-like, I can kind of just pretend in my brain, you know. But if it's like straight up, someone brought a full-on roast of a pig, I would die. I would have to leave.
Flip out.
Like, I can't. I'm freaking out. Yeah, I couldn't handle that.
And in the beginning, when you first became vegan, did you first try to convert any family members?
Oh yeah, I tried all the time. I was that person.
Okay.
Yeah, I was that person that I was like, oh my gosh, I learned this. You gotta hear this, and oh, you shouldn't be eating that. And oh yeah, I was pretty. Yeah. Now I'm no way. I'm died down, and now it's like I'll cry about it if I talk about it. So.
Yeah. All right. How about you, Chandler? Chandler?
Man.
Same question.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you at depressed vegan stage too?
Yeah. I totally relate. So okay. So here's the thing you gotta understand. I cannot look at meat without being aware that was an animal that was alive and wanted to live, and it's just so tragic. And so here's the problem. Here's the real problem: is I work in a grocery store. Okay.
Oh.
So what happens? So what happens is I have to sack the groceries. I have to look at all of this meat and cheese and eggs and all this stuff and put it in people's bags. And there's so much that goes into just sacking groceries, because you got to make sure you don't smash anything. You got to put the cold with the cold. It's actually pretty complicated when you think about it. But the thing is, I get really upset because it's like, it's no different to me than if they were selling a whole bunch of human body parts.
That's exactly how I feel.
that's how I feel about it. And so, yeah, like I'm often a depressed vegan in that sense because I'm so depressed because I realize, 99% of all the humans on this planet are carnists. They don't see anything wrong with constantly eating these products, and the thing is, they don't even know where it comes from. Most people, just like us, are completely still ignorant about where this comes from. And so, obviously, like I'm at that stage where I don't go and tell people I'm vegan. I don't. Now, sure, I do these public Google Hangouts where I'm talking about it with you guys, but let's face it, all of those people, they don't watch my YouTube channel. So like all the people who know me don't even know I have a YouTube channel because they don't go looking for it. So I have this unique ability to say everything I want to say on internet stuff that I have to keep bottled up inside while I'm working and being all upset about that. And so that's my only hope, guys. Like that's my only hope, is that through these discussions, more people will see the light. That's why I do it, because honestly, like, okay, there are all different types of vegans, from the moderate to extreme, however you put it. But here's the thing about me that a lot of people, including Pafo, find pretty extreme, is that basically I vowed celibacy for life due to the fact. I mean, there's several things, reasons not to procreate. I think there's a lot of reasons, there's compelling reasons, and of course there's the antinatalist philosophy, but vegan argument is the one and only thing. People who, if you have children, almost, not always, but almost every single time, they will be just another carnist, believing the matrix. They'll be stuck in the matrix, just like I was. And I feel that that's the worst thing that a person can do after knowing the truth, is to put somebody else into the matrix by causing them to exist in the first place. So, I mean, a lot of people find that extreme, the idea of, not ever having kids. But I mean, that there's a lot of logic behind it, and so sometimes I get into that. But I mean, not everybody who calls himself a vegan is like that. But personally, that's definitely how I am.
And are you the only vegan in your family right now?
Yep.
Okay. And have you?
Yeah.
Have you ever?
I was going to say,
influence your mom, or?
Well, that's the thing is.
I touched the spot. That's a whole can of worms. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me put this mildly. Okay, I'm just lucky that my mom respects that I'm vegan and cooks vegan meals. Yeah. That's about as good as it's gonna get.
That's cool. That's good.
That's good. I mean, I'm luckier than most vegans out there, and it's interesting because, yeah, in the times we've had some fights about that, because it's like it's one thing for me to just read all these books and watch all these documentaries, but my mom doesn't know as much as I do. But I'm convinced that if anyone truly understands all the harm done to these animals, and they care, I think here's the deal: is we don't even need to elevate those other animals to human status, because most humans, they view human life as important, but not those other animals. But we don't even need to go that far. We only need to get them to respect the cows, the chickens, the pigs, or whatever, as much as they do their dogs or their cats or their hamsters or their parrots, their pets. Because if you mess with people's pets, they're likely to shoot you. Because people care about their pets. Yeah. I hear that garbage disposal again.
I think I heard it too.
Yeah, but yeah, like I was just saying, if we could just get people to see those other animals the same way they would their dog or cat or whatever pet they have, then maybe that's enough, because there's this lady, I can't remember her name. She talks about cardism, and she talks about how weird it is that people in different countries eat different animals, because in some countries they eat dogs and they eat horses and stuff, and whereas in America we never think of stuff like that, you know. And so, but it's arbitrary. It's like there's completely no logical explanation for why you eat one species and not another. And once people, I think if anybody investigates that and searches their feelings on that, why do I view this animal as food and this animal as a friend? You're gonna have a brain explosion like I did. There's no difference.
There isn't.
Well, not a big enough one, you know. I mean, like I do see that there are, of course, differences between us and animals, but nowhere near big enough to justify what we do to them and the process that they undergo, and again, what it does to our health. Like even if they were some kind of subspecies, like if we viewed them as like just these things, still we can't escape what it does to the environment to mass breed these, and you know, the factory farming, and then also what it does to our health, you know. So that's why I just can't believe, if somebody understands those three things, how someone could consciously continue to go on not being a vegan. And, you know, I know there's a lot of misinformation about what's accurate, and, you know, with all the science that's going on right now. And in fact, I had sent Angie some quotes. I'll read it later if we ever have time. But this is a book that I got when I started having my illness, and it's supposed to help with your gut situation. And I don't want to completely demonize this book, because there's been a lot of stuff in it, you know, that was exhaustively researched, and a lot of it is accurate. But just from what I've been learning lately, since I became a vegan and been researching it, I do know that there are things in here that she has said that are absolutely inaccurate. Even using common sense, I know there are certain things that she said. And, you know, I had actually underlined them in the past, a long time ago. And I had sent some of these to Angie, when she was the one, by the way, if you didn't know, that first nudged me towards veganism. And
lightly, I didn't push.
I noticed that, and I was going to bring that up, how polite about it you were, even after I sent you some quotes that were pretty alarming quotes. Like, it's a direct contrast to what the vegan movement stands for and what they claim in terms of health. And you were so polite about it. And I even said, you know, in my defense, I admitted that I would not be surprised if this author is wrong on the claims that she was making, because there's just so much misinformation. And, you know, I don't even hold her fully responsible, because she was lied to also.
Yeah.
You know, just all the
still in the matrix.
Yeah. So, but I do know, I was open to the possibility that that the vegan way is actually the correct way, and that she could be wrong. And now that I've been learning what I've been learning, I'm definitely leaning way more towards the vegan stance. That yes, what those claims and how they back it up with facts and figures and data and charts, and, you know, the pretty little color bar graphs, that is correct. And some of the things that she says in here will actually be laughed at one day. I mean, they're laughed at now. I mean, it'll be like, wow, like people will not even be able to believe that they were touting this as the truth. You know, some of the things that she claims. She specifically discusses a little bit on veganism, and it's that section that I'll try to read some of that a little later, because you won't even believe it. It's just like you'll think you're on candid camera. It's just like in complete contrast, you know. So, I've noticed that there is also a lot of, and this is sad, a lot of junk food now, vegan junk food that, you know, the food industry is now jumping onto the whole bandwagon. And I get it, though. I mean, I know that, you know, some people are going to want to indulge a little bit with things that they maybe shouldn't eat. And I just get upset that the fact that the food industry was so quick to jump on that and now try to exploit vegans and take advantage and try to push more junk food. Like, even though it's vegan, it's still, now they're pushing that. And it's like, it's exhausting what we have to do. And that's why I'm you know, the whole go raw thing. That's why I have a respect for that, because if we can get away from processed things as much as possible, like you can even cook it, but just, you know, if you can grow it yourself, prepare it yourself, that's really ideal. And what were those bars called that you told me about? That were basically dates and nuts.
Oh, the Lara bars?
They're called Lyra bars?
Lara.
Oh, Laura bars, L-A.
Oh yeah, I know. I've seen those at Hy-Vee.
That is
Yeah.
the most pure bar you're ever going to find in your life. And that's 100% raw too. Most of them.
Cool.
Some of them have, I think, vegan chocolate chips in them. But I know some of them have some dairy, so you got to watch out.
Mm.
Yeah. Always check those ingredients. But one thing I like to say about like the whole vegan junk food thing is, see, here's something people got to understand, because, you know, often you hear about what people going vegan, they lose a lot of weight, which was definitely my experience. But here's the thing people got to understand. There's still a healthy and unhealthy way to be vegan, because from what I've heard, Oreos are actually vegan, but of course they're low with sugar. I mean, sugar is vegan, but you can still have so much sugar that you give yourself diabetes and become obese. So, you know, so so vegan doesn't automatically mean healthy, but if we stick to eating at least mostly just, you know, fruits and vegetables, you know, just plants with unprocessed, like you guys are talking about, then yes, you'll be pretty healthy and you probably will lose weight. But yeah, we can't just because it's true. I mean, but when people talk about veganism, you know, most of us, we're talking about eating plants like that. We're not talking about eating a bunch of junk food. And so I hope people have some common sense to realize that.
Yeah. You know what I do not miss about eating meat, and just to make sure everybody heard me, what I do not miss, and that is flossing meat out between my teeth, having to floss the meat out. I hated every time I ate meat, I would have to floss, because now if I ate a carrot or something and I had stuff in between my teeth, that's okay. They actually have their own natural enzymes and, you know, stuff like that. But to have meat stuck in between your teeth, and just the thought of kissing someone who has meat in between their teeth, it all just kind of grossed me out. And so that's one thing I will definitely not miss whatsoever. And I also my brother was really upset with me because I would heat up my chicken in the microwave and it would build up this chicken film on the walls. And he would every now and then have to wipe that down, clean it down. And it would also have an odor. So he would have to wait before he would put in his food. And he actually quit eating meat a long time ago. Like, you know, like, I don't know, about a year ago, for other reasons. He's not trying to become vegan, but he is so close, just like I was. I was just eating a little bit of chicken each day and a little bit of cheese. So that, because of my health issues, I had slowly moved in that direction anyway, because all the science kind of steered me that way anyway, to a plant-based diet. But, you know, they misled me as far as the meat, you know, because they made me think that was so important, and the chicken broth and all that. But all I really need to do is get my brother off of dairy and show him Cowspiracy and things like that. And I think he'll be a vegan by the end of the month. Trust me. But let's see, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the microwave. So now that I'm not eating the meat, I'm having all these little things crop up now, I swear, all through this week, where I'm like, oh wow, that's another positive, that's another gain. I'm gonna clean the microwave real good here pretty soon, and it'll never be funked up with chicken residue ever again. And my brother's gonna be real happy about it. So
Yeah, yeah,
And it was a real problem to just to cook that stuff, you know, and it was expensive. So there's all these little benefits that keep cropping up.
Well, yeah, and meat really is gross. Once you've gone vegan and you look at it, you realize this is slimy. It's just disgusting. It doesn't smell
Gross.
good. And see, and that's something I noticed because my mom actually like is given meat. Like she goes to like food pantries and stuff sometimes, and so she gets all this meat. So she'll cook like a whole chicken, and I can't stand the smell of it, and it's like,
oh, me neither.
yeah, and it's like it's just hard to be around. And besides, I already have that going on my job, but it really is gross, and it's true. It's like so. I what you were saying about getting meat stuck in your teeth, Gaius, I totally get that, because like I get vegetables stuck in my teeth all the time, but it doesn't bother me. It's like I'm digging with my tongue trying to find it, and then I still eat it. Like I say, I and I get it, and I still eat it because you can do that, But yeah, meat's disgusting.
Yeah, as I was telling Pafo, I think in another podcast session, or maybe in private, that even as a kid, I've never really cared for meat. Now, this may be a genetic thing. I'm sure it is. I've just never. My dad would make steaks and chicken and things like that as part of the meal, and I always ate it because it was part of the meal. But one of the reasons why I hated it, other than the fact that when I found out what it was, you grow up, you get just old enough to realize, oh, these tendons and cartilage, and you freak out a little bit because you find out it's from an animal. But I look at everybody, I'm like, okay, everybody's eating it, so I guess I'm supposed to. And but I never did enjoy the actual taste, and I hated having to chew so much. It didn't matter what kind of meat it was. I just constantly having to chew. I still remember that vividly as a kid, hating all the chewing involved before I could swallow. And then, so most of my life, I was never really a big meat eater. It was only until within the last 10 years when my illness kicked in, and I started having all these sources recommend eating a high protein and high fat and high meat, diet. And I was doing it for calories. A chicken leg is 200 calories for each chicken leg. And since I weighed so little, I was like, oh, that's a great way to get calories, calorie dense foods. And I thought it was healthy, but I just was not getting my health was not improving as well as I thought it should have. The way they made it sound like it should be. Like I should have gotten perfectly well like years ago. But I now know, both from what I've been reading and how I've been feeling, that has been perpetuating the inflammation in my gut because all the acid and just it's difficult for our systems to digest. And so it was easy for me actually to make the transition real easy.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if you want proof that humans are not carnivores, just try eating raw meat. Like other carnivores do. Just try eating raw meat for a few weeks and see how you feel. Because the very fact that humans don't do well eating raw meat, yet they can eat raw vegetables, that's a pretty good sign right there. There's something up, because nobody is advocating eating raw meat, and yet you can live as a raw vegan.
Yeah.
So if you don't like cooking, then
you like that?
Try this new thing. It's called an apple.
By the way, I started breaking out, especially on my forehead, as soon as I went vegan, and I read that that's kind of to be expected, and that my body should adjust after a while. Yeah. Did y'all have any problems like breaking out? I also developed a lot of upper digestive gas. Where I would belch a lot, but that seems to have subsided. Like that only lasted for like the first 2, maybe the 3rd day. And I've been a vegan for about a week now. But now I don't. Yeah, and so now I don't seem to be belching anymore. and my pimples have already seems like they started to subside starting today, because I was actually worried that I was going to be Mr. Pimple Face for this podcast.
It's funny you should mention that, because just earlier tonight I watched this video where somebody was explaining that was one thing after they went vegan for a while they had breakouts and stuff like that, you know. So, but I guess it's temporary. It gets over. And another thing, my friend Monique. Now Monique, she's raw vegan, and I do shows with her and stuff too. But she told me, you know, after she went vegan, she was in the bathroom a lot because she was basically, she was pooping out all of the clogged up animal fat in her body. She was just expelling it because it's just waste. And so it's like this whole cleansing process. You know, and it happens, and often people do lose a lot of weight, and I'm convinced a lot of it is just stored up animal fat that once you stop eating it, it's just like there's no inflow, but there's an outflow. And I lost 50 pounds after I went vegan.
Oh, wow.
So
are you serious?
Yeah, seriously. Like I was like, because I was like 202 pounds.
Oh my! I did not know that. Okay.
And here's what's interesting, and here's how I know what caused. Okay, now first of all, I told you, you know, I lived off of cheese pizzas, so that was part of it. But then we also had this friend who, you know, this is long before I went vegetarian, who she was always buying us like these roast beef sandwiches from Arby's.
Oh, I love Arby's. That's about the only kind of meat that I do like. But okay, sorry.
Yeah, well, see, so here's the deal now. You got to understand, I was never much of a big meat eater, but because she was giving us that, I'd be eating like 3 Arby's roast beef sandwiches a day. And so I gained weight like really, really rapidly during that period. And then after going vegetarian, I started losing some weight, but then after I went vegan and cut out even the cheese, you know, like, then I still lost a whole bunch of weight. And here's the thing about it is, you know, I'm eating a lot of carbs, you know, because I do eat pasta and I love my oatmeal. I don't have celiac disease, so I can eat a lot of different grains. I love grains. I love oatmeal. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, I eat grains. I eat lots of fruit. Watermelon is the best fruit.
Oh my gosh, right?
Watermelon. Oh, in fact, that's what I'm having for my birthday party. Because my birthday is actually May 15, and I'm turning 30. And so
my sister's born a day before you.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and so this Friday.
Oh, wait. Did you say May the 15th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my brother's birthday. Wow.
Oh.
Cool. We all kind of know.
Yeah, it's just a May day. Wow. And then my sister's May 18th.
Oh.
Yeah, well,
everybody's born in May. Okay.
Yeah, well, of course, we have to share birthdays because, you know, there's only 365 days in the year and there's billions of people. So, yeah, it happens. I mean, that's the thing. And so, like, this Friday, I'm actually having, like, a little party, and I'm having watermelon because that's my tradition. I have watermelon. But, like, because, hey, it's like a vegan cake. It's watermelon. It's the sweetest fruit in the world.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be my now I gotta think I need a raw vegan cake, so I'm gonna do that, just a heaping amount of fruit or something.
Oh yeah, and the cantaloupe, like Gaius was mentioning. Cantaloupe is wonderful, and so is pineapple.
Pineapple and honeydew.
Oh yeah. All those melons are just so watery. You could literally live off of those things because the water contained in them is so great. You would get a lot of water.
Yeah. And have you guys ever experienced with or experimented with exotic fruits? Because I've done a lot of them.
I would like to. I've seen you make these videos before. I'm like, what the hell is that? It looks good. And I'm like, where did she get it?
I'm like that person who is like, I want to eat every animal out there or whatever. Me, I'm like, I want to eat every freaking plant out there. I don't discriminate at all. If it's like weird ass looking spiky thing, I'm like, I want to eat that, you know?
I've seen you've had some interesting where it has like interesting colors. It looks like you got from Hawaii or something. I was like, man.
Durian is a really big one among the vegan community. Everyone is like all crazy over durian, and I tried it first time. And I don't know if either of you have tried it, but the closest thing I can relate it to is fresh raw onions mixed with vanilla ice cream.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing, but it's so good.
And how do you spell it? How do you spell it?
It's durian. It's Durian.
Okay,
and
I'll have to look into that.
They actually have durian fruit festivals because these people are this crazy over this crazy looking fruit. It's massive too.
See, here's the thing you gotta understand with me is that I've been trying a lot of interesting things. For example, I recently had sauerkraut chips.
Cool.
Yeah, and it wasn't bad at all. It was actually pretty good, and it was vegan too. Like I find these bizarre snacks. And this other time, there was this really cheap thing. It was like these seaweed crisps. It's like dried seaweed, but it's got like sunflower oil, canola oil, whatever.
Yeah, I've had those. They're pretty good.
Yeah, it's this. Yeah. I mean, I would just say, I was the kid who didn't eat my vegetables when I was younger. I think a lot of us were that kid. But that sure changed. That sure changed. Now, I mean, I only eat plants, so I've had to try things.
Yeah. I used to actually make my own sauerkraut, and mainly for the probiotics, and I might start doing that again. My brother hated the smell because it can get a little pungent, especially if you really make a good crop, and it can start to smell a little pooty. But if you let it aerate, it's okay. And I actually like the taste of it, especially when I first make it, like when it's really fresh and you kind of like it's just like 3 days old. It's like it actually almost has like an addictive quality for me, where I'm just like, it's like I could tell my body wanted those probiotics or something. And by the way, just for the audience, this is coconut milk. I don't want people to think this is cow's milk. And I used to make my own coconut milk too. I'm gonna start doing that again.
I know. I thought you were still making it there, but
well, off and on. But I used to like religiously make it like a lot, and I make it now just every once in a while. And I think I'll start, probably doing it more on a regular basis, and especially now that I can spend more time and money from the chicken that I used to buy and prepare, and just spend that time and money on making things like coconut milk and stuff like that. So
yeah, that gets into the thing about the price issue, about how fruits and vegetables are actually a lot cheaper than meat.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've been learning.
Yeah, that's one of those benefits.
$2.99 block of freaking extra firm tofu versus like the same like whatever of meat. It's like crazy the cost difference.
Yeah, they like how many potatoes you could buy for a starving family, and if you try to get the same amount of nutrients and the calories and benefits compared to what it costs to buy meat, it's just there's no comparison. It's just so much cheaper and even better for your health and
I mean, you like just think about it, like like at Hy-Vee where I work, you could usually get a whole watermelon for about $5, a whole big old fat watermelon. And that's got to be what 6, 7, 8 pounds of fruit, of watermelon. And compare that, find out how much that watermelon weighs, and buy that many pounds of meat, and you will see it's going to cost you 10 times as much as buying that watermelon. So it becomes clear from if you just want to save money but you don't give a shit about animals or the planet or your health, still go vegan.
that's number 4. That's the fourth thing. And that leads me actually to my other question, one of my questions, which is, if you have a cat, aren't cats, I mean, what do you feed your cat? Because aren't they supposed to be mainly carnivorous carnivores.
Mhm.
Can you feed them a vegan diet? I think you can dogs, but if you have a cat,
there is a company that sells vegan cat food. I came across it. Now, of course, I've never had a cat, so I've never really looked into it in depth. But there are people who do feed special vegan dog and cat food to their pets, which is great, although it may be expensive because it's kind of a rare thing, you know. But my thing is that I could not, like, I don't think I could have a cat. Like, I really just don't think I could do it.
Is it because of that reason that you would have to maybe feed it meat?
Right, and I'm not going to do that. It's just one thing I wouldn't do. I mean, if I did have a cat, what would end up happening is I wouldn't feed it meat. It would go and kill mice. That's what would happen. But at least if it kills mice, I'm not paying for it. But either way, I don't want to be around that. I don't want to be around the cat. I don't want to have to witness it bringing dead mice home. I just don't want to be part of that. So I could not have a cat.
Pafo brought up a good, or we were kind of discussing this before, where we know that meat eaters do exist in Mother Nature. We know lions exist, and yes, nature feeds off of nature. We all, most of us feed off of one another. But when we, if possible, if we can, improve, especially among the human circle, whether or not we eat meat. And if we could feed our dog a vegan meal, then yes, go ahead and do that. But, if you do have a pet that does require meat, and this also leads into what Angie was teaching me about how don't buy pets that are mass breeded, to try to avoid that, because that, again, leads into supporting that whole industry. But if you happen to have a rescue animal that just, that is a carnivore, then I think we should all be okay with the fact that, yes, it does have to eat meat and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But, Mother Nature's Mother Nature. So,
yeah. Well, what's interesting about it is we have an interesting, unique opportunity. The very fact that people have the science to figure out what a dog or cat needs and get it all from vegan sources. Hopefully that will become more mainstream, because I want those who have dogs and cats to be able to feed them vegan, obviously. That would be nice. But at this point, it would be difficult to do unless you're rich and you have the right resource to find the right stuff. I mean, but that's the thing. Like I really question, though, whether it's absolutely true that any animal needs to eat meat. People say it. In fact, there was somebody who tried to tell me that her boyfriend could not go vegan because he has celiac disease, and if he doesn't eat meat, he'll die. And Angie, that's not true, because I mean. Now it's sad. I feel sorry for you, Angie, because I love my oatmeal. I love my grains. It
is what it is.
Yeah, but at the same time, there are other plants besides grains. So so that's what people don't realize. They've got this meat mindset. They think they have to have meat, and I'm not convinced if that's a real thing. Like if anybody really needs to eat meat. Of course, the Eskimos, okay? Remember now, Pafo and Gaius got into the Eskimos, okay?
Yeah, let me ask you about that, because that was one of the questions that I kept on the questionnaire. So I'll ask both of y'all. And I kind of know the answer already, but since we delved into it so much. But, when it comes to, and this is also for future listeners who are listening to this, when it comes to modern day Eskimos, I was worried, when I first presented this to Pafo, I was wondering, does the average vegan look down upon modern day Eskimos and kind of frown upon, their way of life, because they're in an area of scarcity where they can't really grow fruits and vegetables. And I even learned, coincidentally, like 3 days ago or 2 days ago, from watching one of those, another documentary on veganism, that they even have a little bit of a genetic difference that their bodies actually can handle. For example, ketogenic diet, which is high in fat.
High fat.
Yeah, and their bodies actually can handle it. But, there are those cultures where eating meat and trapping animals and using their skins and their fats, their lipids to make candles, it's just so integrated into their culture it's going to be a real hard adjustment for them. So I'm actually forgiving, to the Eskimos and understanding to their situation. And I'm just curious if y'all have talked to enough vegans. Do y'all know whether or not they frown upon like Eskimos or Native Americans or?
Well, before you and Pafo, the topic never came up.
Yeah.
Okay.
That never has, other than wearing skins, which I wouldn't do, but
right. The topic never crossed my mind because personally I don't know any Eskimos.
Right.
I just
Me
don't.
neither.
I'm trying to remember the name of the documentary. It was either a documentary or a YouTube video where they finally did address that. I guess enough people were asking about it. I guess there was some concern about, well, what do they do? Because they're so far up north. Is it up north? I think they're up north, right?
I think it comes down to if we can start growing crops on Mars, I think we can start growing crops there.
Yeah, for them.
Well, yeah,
the other thing, why it's going to be a hard adjustment for them is because it's so integrated into their culture with everything they do. But it would be neat if they were able to slowly make that transition.
I think they could. I think anything could. Mind you, like, I own a ferret. She was my one that I adopted. Was a rescue one. And but the fact is she's straight up carnivore. Like, I can't change her or make her eat that because of the shortness of her intestine. It'll become impacted with fiber if she has too much fiber, and they're like big cancer balls too. That if she becomes impacted, it can fester into cancer, and they're very easily prone to that. So, see, for me. After her, though, I'm never going to get another carnivore in my life. But it's because at the time I had agreed to adopt her, and I was researching, seeing if I could find a plant-based solution. And I went to the pet store, and I did find the cat food that you guys were talking about, the vegan cat food. And it's basic garbage. Like, it's like, for us, it would be okay, but it's a lot of filler stuff. It was like some fruits, some nuts, I think, and mainly potato starch. So it wasn't really anything that would be beneficial to her and would probably likely kill her. So out of like an ethical way, it's like I've taken this thing into my life, and now I have to take care of her to the best of my extent and in a way that isn't going to cause cruelty because of my own ethical rights, or like my values. I'm not going to put my values on an animal that clearly cannot, adopt my diet. So the same thing goes with like the Eskimos, but them, they're human and there are options. I don't see why there isn't the possibility of getting like a big old greenhouse or getting like, there's ways. And,
that would be good.
How do we know? Maybe they're already at it. Maybe we should look it up and find vegan YouTubers who are friggin' Eskimos, because I bet they're out there.
They might be out there. I mean, that's where our technology, that's where our science, our technology should be working. It's not building massive weapons to go blow up other countries. Let's have some super ultra greenhouses that can grow plants even in the Arctic. That would be a good thing. I mean,
my brother, he used to have a ferret also, and I can't remember what he used to feed the ferret. I think it might have been cat food, like just regular hard cat food. Maybe even.
That's what she is on. She's on actually a source of dog food because it has less fiber, it's higher in protein, and it has a little less fat because she was having severe diarrhea from the cat food. And since switching her over, she's now pooping normal, and her coat's all glossy, her hair's growing in, and she's got a little more girth to her now. She was losing weight like crazy too. So she's better now, thankfully. When I got her, she was really skinny too because she is a rescue, and she was at the Humane Society in Ottawa, and a ferret rescue group from Ottawa picked her up because they were going to euthanize her. So, and then apparently no one had wanted her because she's albino, and they're all freaked out by her eyes because they're bright red. But I love her; she's freaking amazing, as you know.
Yeah. You know, since you live up north in Canada, do you know if it's harder for Canadians to even grow crops, especially like,
Oh
I
gosh,
mean,
no.
it's not
Oh,
like,
no.
okay, so like you just have to do the right time of season and
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah, we have some local farmers, things like that, but mostly we get a lot of like we have avocados that have marked like Dominican Republic or Mexico, so we get a lot of stuff delivered in by the looks of
Imported,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, for exotics anyway, but like things like apples, cherries, like the berries, blueberries, like we grow all that ourselves.
Oh,
So yeah, yeah,
so that's
no
not
big
a
deal.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess. I almost wanted to wait for Chandler to get back for this one, but he may take too long. So I'll go ahead and do it anyway. What I've recently been noticing is that in literature, like let's imagine 1,000 years from now, and we look back on literature and our movies, and I noticed that we're going to be like, people in the future are going to just really are going to be horrified, or it's kind of like when I look back on old movies where everybody's smoking cigarettes, kind of a thing, where it seems weird to us now. Like nowadays in movies, people don't even really smoke cigarettes in modern movies. So, but when it comes to like classics, like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, one of their main menu was all seafood all throughout that movie. And it makes me wonder how vegans, because I'm pretty sure almost everybody's going to be vegan in the future, like 1,000 years from now, and so they're going to look back on that and just I just hope that, especially anything Hemingway wrote, because Hemingway, it seemed like every one of his short stories was all about hunting, cooking meat, hunting meat. So yeah, it's. I wonder if it's going to diminish and lose, if literature is going to lose its value in certain ways. And movies. I was just watching a movie today. I wish I could remember what it was. And they brought up like eating meat. And Robin Hood, that was another one where they're always like eating some kind of big old mutton.
Yeah.
They're eating mutton all through that.
A rabbit or something on a stick, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just gonna be weird.
With that, I think it's like anything. It's like when we look back at old movies and it's very sexist or it's very racist. It's almost like we can kind of just see the stepping stones of our progression and our evolution, It's not that we won't like these movies anymore, but we're going to be like, as if kind of thing, wow, that was really or we're going to be like, wow, that's really racist, but then you just kind of use
right
decide, and it's not part of us anymore, It's like it was there and it happened, but we're over it now, we've found better things, we've evolved, we've become nicer, and we got
smarter.
better morals. Yeah, we got better morals now.
We'll definitely realize it was a period piece. You know what I mean? Like that's what that was the stupid thing they used to do, kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. Or it's like people, who a big thing in the past was like everyone was doing drugs, like I went around like the rock stars, things like that. Like now I feel like that's also diminished. A lot of it is like we're really getting into our health, and it doesn't mean that was any less of an important part of the whole like stepping stone process, because all that it birthed those people that wanted change, that were like, that's just not right, and that's just not sitting with me. And so it kind of then it progressed on, and it created that. I found that I really liked, I also want to mention about the whole Eskimo thing while we were talking about it, that I really liked how Papo actually explained the whole thing of if they're in a climate, even in that, to try to take them out of it and put them in one where they can flourish maybe a little bit better. Like, it's not to say, take up a whole group of people and relocate them. It's to say, there are options out there. I know a lot of people who even used to live in Canada, and over there, like Instagram, they'll be posting, moving to Costa Rica so I can finally be in the land of the fruit, and it's like, it just, if it resonates with you, and if you feel like it's going to help make things easier, then why not move? It's a new experience. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. When I first quit smoking, and this was like 6 years back now. I mean, I haven't had a
That's
cigarette in
awesome.
6 years. It is awesome. You know what? I didn't even realize it had been that many years, and I forget why. I was somehow coming
I
across
think
something.
we were talking about it, weren't we? I think you mentioned that you had
Well,
smoked.
we probably have, but there was something that I came across, like a video that I made or something, and somehow I saw the date on the video or post, and so it somehow communicated to me how long it had been. I knew for sure it had been about 6 years since I had touched a cigarette. But the only time that I really want a cigarette is when I see Bruce Willis smoking a cigarette in a movie like Die Hard. Man, he can sure make a cigarette look good, let me tell you.
That or like I think it was on Breakfast at Tiffany's or something, like all of those ladies that would carry their big long stick with the double, and they just look so classy. I think you see people now who are smokers and they're shivering out with their cigarettes, you know, trying to light it, and it doesn't have the same appeal. You're not at like a bar with a fedora and you're smoking, you know, like it doesn't have that look anymore.
Hey guys, I never got my chance to respond to the Eskimo thing all that much.
Oh, well, she came back. She came back to it. Okay.
Yeah,
she came back to it. So, yeah.
Oh because I mean, I think we're all agreed on that anyway. I mean, we need to find a solution for these people, but until then, I mean, until we have a way to either grow plants in the Arctic or get these people to somewhere where there are plants, I'm not going to try to talk them into going vegan, because how? You know, I might as well talk to the polar bears or the walruses, you know.
but would you frown upon them now if they couldn't? You know what I mean? Would you look down upon them and see them as, well, I mean, I guess to some extent we might see them as needing to evolve to that point where we're at. But would you hold it against them? Would you look down upon them?
Well, it depends on what you mean by that, because I'm sure, as you are well aware, Gaius, I can't hold anything against anybody knowing they didn't have a choice in the matter. You know, there's the whole fact that, you know, free will is an illusion, and we're all doing what we can to seek pleasure and avoid pain and survive. You know, we're biologically driven. So, like, I know I don't look down on them. Do I want to change the situation? Yes. Do I want them to be able to go vegan? Yes. But I don't look down on them. I quit. That's like the Christianity mentality where we blame sinners and say they deserve hell. You know, like that. I don't do that anymore. Now I'm like this. I'm just this determinist, atheist, vegan dude who just, you know, trying to educate people.
Yeah.
It's also it also kind of you know, Paphos. Finally, you know, in a roundabout way, he finally gave me his answer, which was that he would also be understanding and forgiving to it, because that's all I wanted was a simple answer from Papho. But he really digressed and kind of went into all kinds of rabbit holes. But you know, his mind just kind of goes, you know, that's you know.
I really like the stuff that he comes up with, though. Like I was telling you, I'm like, man, I wish he was always there to fight all my vegan battles, because no meat eater would freaking win against him. So that
Angie, how many things of Paphos have you listened to?
It was just the one that you guys recently did. So
I didn't.
She didn't hear the very last one, but the one before that one, the one with me and Clint and Paphos, she hadn't heard that one yet, but it was the one before that.
Oh no, I haven't.
But it was involving the Eskimo thing.
Yeah.
But Paphos very knowledgeable and very passionate about all that stuff, and I believe he's very informed and very prepared to take anybody under the table who, you know, wants to try to you know, debate that subject with him. And Chandler too. You know, y'all have been learning so much about this stuff and all the new information that's, thank God, it's more accurate. You know, it's you know, trying to set people straight with all this outdated, distorted information. So
I mean, and the thing is, I've been doing stuff with Papho for some time now. In fact, Papho just messaged me earlier, and he wants me to take the first ever hangout that Papho and I did. It's still on my YouTube channel somewhere, but to take the audio of that and publish that as an impersonal opinion podcast. So I'll be publishing like an audio only version of that first ever hangout that I did with Pafo. So
Okay.
yeah, so
it's not published right now.
Well, it is. Well, I mean, the original video is still published, and I believe it's still public. I believe, I titled it. I actually titled it "Introduction to Pafo and Biopantheism." You'll probably just find, if you search biopantheism on my YouTube channel page, you'll probably find that first ever hangout that I did with Pafo.
Cool. And also, I don't know if Gaius told you, but I'm also pantheist.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Yeah. See, this pantheism thing is interesting because, like, I mean, I don't really call myself a pantheist, but Pafo says I'm a pantheist. So,
I've been calling myself that for years.
Just for from my point of view, I don't mind that you consider yourself to simply be an atheist. Like, I never have this need for people to have to use the label pantheism because you, like, for example, you take some concern with how that term God is defined. You know, there's a lot of stuff there, but as long as you have love and respect for the environment and mankind, and you can I don't mind. I love those type of atheists. You know, the ones that use the scientific method, that open to new ideas and want to help save the planet. That's good enough for me.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, what you call your show shouldn't matter that much. And see, my thing is, like, when Pafo calls it the Omnia, or you call it Forever All, like you do, Gaius, that's good. Like, I like that because I just feel that it's dishonest to use the word God when that has a meaning. Because I'm in the United States, and to everyone else around me, that God means the one that did all that stuff in the Bible. Yeah, the Christian God did all this stuff, and he has all these silly attributes. And that's what I can't stand is my friend George, who he keeps badgering the rest of us and telling us that he's proved that God is the universe. And I'm like, well, you can define, God as the universe if you want, but it's a semantic thing. And now Pafo, I put up with Pafo and his biopantheism because I know he has good intentions. Okay, I may not always agree with him on everything, but he's fun to listen to, and we do hangouts.
Yeah. I was just telling Angie before you had to leave, and I'll get your quick opinion on it. I was telling her about how literature and movies, when we look back on them, like 1,000 years from now, if pretty much everybody's going to be vegan, hopefully 1,000 years from now, when they look back on our literature and our movies, and whether or not it would devalue it in any way, like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and anything that Hemingway wrote, or Robin Hood, where there's a lot of meat eating, or seafood all throughout the movie, and so
Dr. Seuss's Green Eggs and Ham. That book has been permanently ruined for me.
Yeah.
I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. I do not like Green Eggs and Ham because I know the animals were tortured in the process. Seriously,
that was a wonderful response.
Oh, I know that book has been removed from my memory of books. It's like it's a bad memory, but I like the Lorax. That's a good story. Yeah. You don't want to cut down all the trees. We need them.
Yeah. Yeah, I was also kind of paralleling it with how there used to be, everybody back then used to smoke cigarettes, and in all the old classic movies, everybody's smoking. The women are smoking, the children are smoking. No, not the children, but just about everybody is smoking, and so we seem to. I even look at movies from the 80s now, and because nowadays we really don't see people smoking, in movies, unless it's a period piece. But I swear, every time I see like an old movie, like from the 80s, like Die Hard, I see Bruce Willis keeps pulling out those cigarettes. I'm like, damn, I forgot all about the fact that people used to smoke in a way like that much. And it's always like a red flag for me, or like a, what do you call it? Like, it just sticks out like a sore thumb to me. Like, I used to watch movies and I never thought about it, but I see it every time now when they spark up, I'm like, wow, that looks weird to me now, even though I used to be a smoker. And it's been so long because of the modern movies, they finally, because there's this, you know, modern consensus that we all want to get away from, you know, the cigarette thing. So leading actors, leading stars, you know, and just the way scripts are written today, you just don't. I'm sure if an actor even tried to spark up, they would say, no, don't be doing that, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean, and if you look at popular movies and TV shows, you know, and this is part of why I don't really watch TV.
Me neither.
Yeah, because, you know, I mean, we get like DVDs from the library, so that's how I end up seeing TV series, you know, sitcoms like, you know, like Frasier, or Gilmore Girls. Gilmore Girls is really nice, but The Big Bang Theory, you know, with Sheldon Cooper and Leonard and Penny, all of them. Oh, that show is funny. It's really funny because, you know, Sheldon is a lot like me. You know, that's the thing. Like, seriously, I'm very much like Sheldon. More than people. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, I'm not like him because he has an arrogance about him where he thinks he's more important than everyone. And really, as a vegan, I'm just the opposite because I'm saying that, well, I'm not more important than all these other animals. You know, their life matters just as much to them as mine does to me. So yeah, but aside from the rudeness and arrogance of Sheldon Cooper, I'm just like him because I'm a creature of habit. You don't want to break my routine or my concentration. And oh man, sometime I'll have to tell you about my sort of ex-girlfriend. That was crazy because
let's hear it.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So, you know, if you've seen The Big Bang Theory and you see Sheldon, he's not interested in women and seeking relationships in the show. Now he ends up later having this girlfriend in the later. Amy. Yeah. And you know, that was kind of interesting, but the thing is, I'm kind of like that in that I'm not looking for romantic relationships, although they come to seek me whether I want them or not, sort of a issue. And so that's the issue is like, to me, I find it strange that so many people are interested in finding somebody who they're going to kiss and who they're going to have sex with and who they're going to marry and have babies and all this stuff, because that's what everyone else does. But I don't do that, you know, and I'm not interested in doing that because, I mean, ain't nobody got time for that.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. I mean, I got Google Hangouts to do with you people. I got my job at Hy-Vee, and I have video games that I haven't even played yet. I mean, seriously, like, oh, you know, there's so much to do in life, and it's like,
yeah, there. I share that with you because I'm such an introverted person, and I'm always so engrossed into my personal projects, whether it's an art project, a writing project, and I'm already thinking I need to live about 300 years to finish all the things that I want to do, and making YouTube videos. So I actually have entertained the thought, like, if I was dating someone right now, I'd be like, God, I would really be torn between all the things that I want to do and all the projects that I want to work on. And then, because I wouldn't want to rob that person of my attention, you know, and divide, you know, have that so divided. If I was dating someone, I would want to devote myself, my full self, you know, at least enough to where it would be fair to that person. Because, you know, if I'm just, and I see this a lot in relationships where, especially with men seem to kind of like be off doing their own thing, hanging out with the guys, their job, all that. And they almost never give enough time to the female in the relationship. And so they really get left out and they really get cheated out on that. And a lot of them put up with it, sadly, because, you know, they don't have too many options. But yeah, when I start dating again, I would like for it to be where I kind of have a moment where in my life where I've kind of gotten certain things accomplished, certain projects done, certain things done behind me. Because I got like a lot of things on the back burner right now. But if I can get those things behind me, then I would love to pursue a relationship and do it right, because I don't want to half-ass do it. I want to do it right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and do it full. So
yeah, because that's the thing. Anything worth doing is worth doing right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the like. I don't feel there's any extra time to devote to some relationship like that. I mean, you guys see how it is. I mean, I don't have time to talk to all the different online people I know, because I know at least 20 different people that I do shows with, and.
Yeah.
And I used to actually do a lot more than I do now. Like when we first started our Free Will Science Religion podcast, there's like a list of all the gang. There's me, there's George, Jamie, Trick, Mitch, Michael Walsh, Nick Vale, all these people that we did shows. But I mean, we've gotten busy, and now we're doing one show a week on Sundays, if even that. But then I also, I do these Google Hangouts, and then we kind of turn them into shows. And then, I have Monique, who we do the Celibate Vegan Compadres. Well, now we changed it to Voices instead of Compadres. Yeah, I liked Compadres better, but there's no arguing with Monique. She wanted it to be Voices, and something about then it's the initial CVV, because supposedly the number on the back of a credit or debit card is a CVV code, and I'm like, what significance is that? I don't get it. I don't get it. But yeah, so I do a lot of interesting shows, and I don't even have time to just do even the online stuff. Not to mention having a life outside of the internet. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been going on this bike trail. Angie knows this. I love going on this bike trail. It's like in the forest, and it's a really long one, about like a 3-mile stretch in one direction and in the opposite direction. And there are times, in fact, a lot of times, especially when there's that floral scent in the air, where I wish I was with a girl riding next to me, to share that moment with, to have that experience with. Because I like a lot of me time. I like doing things alone. But every now and then I do miss not having a companion that I could share that moment with, and and do things with. So yeah, if I can ever get into a place where I could do that, where it's not so hectic, so so many things.
Hey, I know. Get a stuffed horse. That works for me. I'll introduce you to my friend Brownie, the stuffed horse.
Yeah.
the only friend who hasn't disappointed me yet. He's always here when I need him.
Yeah. Yeah. Animal companions, they're the best.
Yeah. Yeah. This is someday I'm gonna get a real horse. But until then, this will have to do. I actually have other stuffed horses. Yeah.
Yeah, I also the fact that I'm living with my younger brother, that really helps, because I do share things with him. So if I was living alone, I'd probably be going crazy. But the fact that he and I are so much alike, in terms of our our taste and things. Although we do have our differences, that's what's weird. And that actually kind of makes it interesting, because if he was too much like me, that might be boring. It'd like be hanging out with a clone of myself, which would be weird. But yeah, he helps me keep my sanity. It's just that one day I would like to bring in a female companion.
I think we're all single here, eh?
I guess so. All three.
Yeah, you gotta meet the zebra. Yeah, there's a zebra here too. You gotta meet the zebra.
So you really like horses then? Is that what I gather?
Yeah, some people. Okay.
Oh, I see a horse. I see a horse calendar behind you.
Yeah, I have a horse calendar, and what? Oh, it's still on April. I need to change that to May. Yeah, every month is a different horse. Yeah, like you got to understand the meaning, the extreme meaning of horses to me. Okay, where do I begin? I mean, horses are like the most harmless vegan animal. Like horses are just so nice. Like, I mean, well, in a way, they're a lot like cows, and it's very bizarre that a lot of humans treat horses with a lot more respect than they do cows. But as far as behavior-wise, they're both content to just wander around and eat grass, but they don't cause trouble to anybody. you know. And I just really have a thing for horses. Some people are into cats, some people are into dogs.
Yeah,
some people
horses are cool. On my bike trail, there's these horses that I always pass, and I always wave to them, and they always look at me. You know, they tweak their ears and look at me. And I finally got off my bike on one of these occasions because they were like right there, right by the fence. And one of them was, and I walked up and I slowly touched him, and I hadn't touched a horse like in, I don't know, 20 years. And so I was petting him or her. I'm not sure if it was a him or her, but the other horse saw this, got a little jealous, and started coming over also, and then stuck his head out or her head out. And I was just like having this total moment with these horses, and it was like, I really like the horse whispers.
I know, I've had the same kind of thing. Like, okay, so I was riding my bike a long time ago, and I went past, there was this place where there was this horse, like there was somebody's yard and they had a horse. This is a little bit out in the country. And I saw this horse there, and I stopped, and this horse just walked closer to me, and I just stared at that horse, and that horse stared at me, just staring at each other over this barbed wire fence or whatever it was, and it's just like, there's a connection there. There's just things about horses. And then I also got to like, feed and brush horses. My mom had this piano student who had some horses on some land, and so I brushed this horse and fed hay and like grains to these horses. It was just the most amazing experience, because horses don't scare me. Like dogs and cats actually scare me to a certain extent, because dogs bark and cats tend to claw, it's like, but these horses, like, it's like the fact that they're so big and could hurt you if they wanted to, but they don't. There's something about that that's amazing to me.
Yeah, I think they're pretty, like, one of the most graceful looking, like, most beautiful animals on planet Earth, actually. I can see why artists love to draw them and paint them all throughout history. They're beautiful. And just to watch them run, the graceful galloping, and the very, very artful looking animal, for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, I just like horses. Like, I was thinking, like, it would be nice to just like adopt a horse. Like, I don't want to ride it. I don't want to use it for anything. I just want it to just be a pet and have like a lot of land where it just eats grass and I feed it other stuff, That would be wonderful,
I was hearing these stories about how horses would bring the reins. I don't know what they're called. The harnesses, bridle. That's it. Maybe I did know. They would hold the bridle, like get the bridle from the barn and hold it in their mouth and go and bring it to their owner to communicate that they want to go on the horse trail. That they like that moment of being with humans, even though, humans are riding them. It's obviously a human that loves them and takes care of them and doesn't abuse them. So, me and Papa were kind of discussing this, like whether or not we should ride animals or use horse-drawn carriages or whatever. And it's a gray area for me, but I think it's okay as long as they're not abused or treated badly, And it's not. There's multiple stories that I've heard that they say, like, when the bringing it the reins or the what do you call it, the bridle.
Bridle.
That's not just an isolated incident. That it's a reoccurring theme.
It's almost like when your dog brings you their leash and they're like, outside.
And I'm sure these things happen. That's the thing, is there can be genuine cases where that horse is telling you what it wants, which is really. And
they love that. They love, they don't feel burdened. They love that experience of going out on the horse trail, and there's a certain sense of maybe fulfillment and interaction with humans, and even praise. Like they can sense that praise. You pet it on its ass, her ass, or his ass, and say, you're a good boy. Yes, you are. Who's a good boy? And so they sense that that praise and that relationship, that bond moment.
Yeah.
They like it.
Yeah, that's the thing, is, I think that there are definitely cases where, I mean, animals and humans benefit equally by being around each other. And that the ideal world, you know, I mean, that's the idea. The thing is, like, I mean, if everybody can have that view, that's what I want. Paffa would probably be a little bit more extreme and doesn't even like the idea of us using animals all. Like, you know, the seeing eye dog thing. That was a weird topic. I'm like, wait a minute.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, what's so bad about that? Like, I mean, the dog helps the blind person get around, and yet that dog is treated like, you know, it's like a pet. It gets food, shelter all at once. It becomes yeah. I mean, so it's a mutual relationship there. I don't see anything wrong with it, you know. I mean,
I agree.
And also, like, I was trying to give him the example with the bees. Like, if we build shelters for the bees to prevent the storm and the weather from destroying it, and from wild animals from getting to the hive, and we help manage it, would it be okay for us to get a small portion of the honey? Not all of it, you know, don't abuse it, you know, but to get a little portion where there's a symbiotic relationship there, where we help take care of the bees, and then the bees can provide us a little bit of honey. You know, so there's of course other areas where there's gray areas where I don't know, but one story that I heard some years back, which I just thought was the neatest thing. This one farm was using snails to eat the bacteria from sewage water, from human sewage water, and they were somehow naturally, you know, whatever they naturally pooped out or whatever, they created this whole filtration water system without using like modern technology, and it was all natural, and all these like snails and everything about it was completely natural and in harmony with nature. And I just thought it was like the coolest thing ever, and I never got over that.
You know, there's some amazing stuff. Like, for example, if I had my land, like, I don't even think I'd be raking leaves, because you know what the worms do? The worms eat those leaves.
Exactly.
The leaves fall. The worms like eat these leaves. They hide under the leaves, shield them from the sun, but they eat these leaves, and then as they're digging, I mean, they're pooping out all of that, all the nutrients, you know, back into the soil. Whereas
yes, I was telling Paffa the exact same thing what you're saying, that they enrich the soil and they help to aerate the soil. So it's like we do have to have worms, at least in our circle to some degree, to
worms actually do us a great service. And all they're doing is eating leaves. And so to me, like, I think it's sad. Yeah, exactly. But to me, I think it's sad that people have this idea that they got to rake all the leaves and throw them away. And I'm like,
it's like the dandelions too. That's the initial food for the bees to make their honey.
Oh, really?
People, that's why they say not to pluck your dandelions first coming of spring until the flowers have bloomed, because that's right away. That's where they first go to get their source for honey.
Oh,
but
cool.
Another thing about the bees, though, with these beekeepers, what they do is they actually, if there's a queen, they will actually kill her and take her away so that the bees overproduce the honey, because they're all sporadic, and half the time they don't know, they're not being given orders. Yeah, so that's
not
where the whole issue with the bees comes in. To it, that they overwork them till they pretty much die, because they're so confused. They don't have a queen to kind of do her little dance thing.
See, and that's the thing. Like I know, because see, what happens is, when it's for profit, whenever there's a business and it's about selling as much as they can to make money, then naturally it leads to abuse of the animals. That's just it. I mean, it is it is absolutely possible in very rare circumstances, you know, for somebody to take just a tiny fraction of the honey from the bees and them still have enough for the winter, or to say, to take a tiny amount of milk from a cow that's given birth to a calf, not to breed them, not to do this intentionally, but if you are a starving person in a famine in Africa, and you need to use a little cow's milk to survive, like, there's nothing wrong with that. but it's the
Sure.
fact that it's done for profit. Therefore, they breed billions of animals who live terrible lives only to kill them and then damage our health. I mean, it's the industry that's got to go.
I have a question for you, actually, Chandler. What your thoughts are on this? Because I feel like I'm really on the fence about it, and I don't know how to defend it as a vegan. Is backyard chickens that people have for the taking of the eggs? I know for myself, I have a friend who her chickens. I've never seen chickens so amazing. Like they hang around with you. They'll go in the house. They'll walk out. They have complete free range, but they are considered laying hens, so they naturally do just lay eggs. They don't even breed. I think she had a rooster and he passed away. And any of their chickens who have passed away, they actually bury them. They do not eat any of their chickens, and they always have just laid eggs. They have free range. They walk around I think they have like 40 acres, and they have horses that they also don't ride that are free to go around too.
Oh, that sounds like a cool place.
I know, and so the chickens, when they do lay the eggs, they leave a few, and they'll take some, and what they do is they'll collect all the eggshells, because a chicken, once it produces a clutch of eggs, it actually is 30% of its bone density put into that calcium forming on the eggshells. And so what they do is once they're done with the contents of the inside of the egg, my friend, she and her husband will gather the eggshells and put them back into the chicken's area so the chickens can eat the eggshells, which they will do. Because the chicken will eat its own eggs to replenish itself. So that's what's pretty neat. So, yeah.
Ooh,
so
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I was wondering what your thoughts were on like backyard chickens that are taken really good care of to that extreme. You know?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because see, like
I still won't eat those eggs though, just because of like. You know?
Right. I mean, like I say, just leave. If those chickens will eat their eggs, why not just leave the whole egg for them? You know, I mean, because I'm not going to eat eggs. I mean, it's like, we're learning it's not all that good for our health anyway. So I never plan on eating eggs. So, but yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thing. Yeah, let the hens do with those eggs what they want. That's kind of my thought.
Yeah. Do you agree, like, with the whole idea then, like, so she does eat the eggs too, but you think that they should probably just let the chickens do their thing and let nature take its course?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I don't.
That's what I've always thought.
Right, because I mean, the fact that humans don't need to eat the eggs in the first place.
Yeah.
I would rather be eating any plant anyway rather than eggs, because I don't know about you guys, but there's actually a certain ick factor. There's an ick factor with that, like okay, like that's their period, It's like if we tried to eat the eggs that are in human women's periods. It's kind of like that. That's gross, So
and also with the eggs too, birds only have one hole, which is why they pee, they poo, and they shoot eggs out of the exact same hole too.
The same hole? Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that's why a bird has such runny poops, because it technically like pee poos. It goes at the same time.
That explains a lot.
Angie is teaching.
Yeah, she's educating us on bird anatomy. I have to admit, this is pretty interesting. Hey, we're having so much fun, guys. I mean, we're talking, and seriously, I mean, yeah. Look, we're having a good time because look, we all sometimes get very upset about the cruelty that is done, which is why we went vegan.
Yeah.
But the fact that once we've established that, and then we're with other vegans and we're discussing these things, it's easier somehow. It's easy.
We can just talk about stuff that we don't with the normal human. We have those common grounds that we can.
Because as soon as people find out I'm vegan, then there's all these questions they want to ask and I don't want to answer. And it's like the documentaries are out there. Just search Amazon.com, search Google.com for vegan. You will find tons of resources. That's the best advice I can give to anyone.
Finally, Dr. Oz, as of this year, is finally starting to. It looks like finally starting to admit and and kind of promote. I don't think he's actually said vegan. Dr. Oz is finally starting
Dr. Oz is hilarious. He was talking about how orange juice could burn a hole through the lining of your stomach, and like it's just all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, it seems like he's always kind of been against. At least this was the impression I was given. There's 2 shows. There's one I think that's called The Doctors or whatever.
Yeah, I don't watch either.
They're definitely kind of against the whole vegan thing. And then it seemed like I haven't watched enough of Dr. Oz. I've just seen a few episodes, but it just seemed like he wasn't fully on board with the whole vegan movement. But as of this year, 2017, he finally just recently came out with something. It's under a different name. He's not actually outright overtly saying a vegan thing, but it's a vegan diet. It is.
They'll say plant-based just to make the meat eaters happy.
That's exactly what he said.
Yeah. They don't want to use the V word.
I believe the reason why that happened is because he's probably being bombarded by all kinds of mail and messages from the fan base who keep hearing this.
I feel like a lot of his information, though, I know he's a doctor himself, but I feel a lot of it is very filtered, and that it's like it's not from him. That it seems a lot of like outer source stuff.
Yeah, I've always felt that way. And when he first came onto the scene, when we all first started hearing about him, I was very suspicious of.
He's just kind of like a vessel for the.
Yes, I always felt that exactly what you just described. That he's a conduit for all these special interests. Which is why he often gives a lot of conflicting information, because it's true. He's only receiving so much. You know?
And that's how I feel about politicians as well. Is I feel like these politicians, like I don't feel like they're ever speaking their just true, honest opinions like we are. It's not like that. So I'd like to know what the real people are like, what they're really like when they're not. In their personal lives, when they're not just giving a speech to say what people want to hear so people will vote for them,
Yeah.
Or like what information does he really know? Like maybe he knows a lot less than what we think, or maybe he is being censored or even told that maybe he has the vegan viewpoint already, or might have for a while, and I guess maybe they're talking about their viewers, probably a lot of meat eaters. They might end up losing viewers if he suddenly switches. You never know. Background stuff going on.
Yeah, people stand to lose if they're a famous person who makes a lot of money from whatever they do. If they come out as vegan, they're gonna lose so much money, which is why there's a lot of closeted vegans, just like there's closeted atheists, who don't want to come out and say they're atheists because that's social suicide, Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I would just say that I would say the hardest part of being a vegan is just the social situations, the awkwardness, like that. I bring peanut butter sandwiches to eat at a restaurant that only serves meat because my friends from work invite me to go to this restaurant with them, but everything they serve as meat, everything. So I'm eating peanut butter sandwiches and they're all eating meat. But then after that, I start getting questions. I know. And I'm like, I don't want to answer the questions. I do this in recordings. I explain it all in recordings, and there's vegan documentaries to watch. I'm not paid to constantly educate all these people who ask me the same old questions I've answered before.
I bet it gets stressful. I bet it gets a little stressful.
Yeah,
now I'm scared. I'm scared to tell people I'm vegan now.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
That's what it sounds like.
Because that's the thing.
For myself, though, because I started out with celiac, no one ever questions if I'm suddenly not eating or if I'm eating something different. They think it's because I have an autoimmune disease, and they don't even bother asking me about it. So there's tons of times where I've gone to restaurants and just had the wine. Mind you, got kind of drunk, but or times where I've just had the tea, and that's another thing for any of you who, if either of you drink wine, you have to go on. I use the website called Barnivores, and if you search it up, it will list everything that has animal products in it, because there are so many wines out there, even the organic ones, that are filtered with sheep stomach enzymes, with fish oil, and with have gelatin. So you gotta watch your wine too.
Man,
Crazy.
I'm so glad that I've never drank alcohol in my life.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a friggin' wino. That's
Yeah,
why I said I go vegan for the animals. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I used
don't
to drink.
often, but I love wine.
Yeah, I used to. I used to drink socially with my brothers, but it was vodka. That we used to do another one. I forget the name of it, but vodka is supposed to be one of the healthiest, where it doesn't have.
And tequila, 100%
Yeah.
tequila.
Yeah.
Like agave tequila is actually good for your digestion. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's weird. Yeah,
I also had to be careful. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. That's
well,
fine.
I also had to be careful with the wheat. Like they use wheat products in liquors to help ferment it or something. And I don't know if you know this, Chandler, but I'm also gluten intolerant, like Angie is. And that was one of the things that I was really nervous about going on this vegan diet and lifestyle, because I was already whittled down to basically not being able to eat anything, and I was like, oh my God, now I'm going to be cutting out all meat and all dairy and eggs. And I was like, shit, what am I going to be eating? Air and water, but thankfully, but thankfully, I just by a stroke of luck, I just happened to come across information that confirmed that starchy foods like potatoes and stuff is actually, that's another lie, another myth, that you shouldn't be eating that. And so I just by coincidence swapped out my meat with potatoes, and I'm really doing well on that. I eat that 3 times a day now, the potatoes, and I'm holding my weight. That was another thing I was scared about. I thought I was going to just really disappear and drop my weight. Yeah. And so, and I love mashed potatoes. I've loved mashed potatoes ever since I was a kid, and they're easy, they're cheap, quick to make. And I was worried that it was going to be spiking my blood sugar and stuff, and that it was going to be fattening in a bad way. But I thought to myself, okay, I'll go ahead and do the potatoes for now, just to make this transition and to heal my gut. And then I'll start eating legumes and things like that. But then just by chance, I started coming across, because I was looking into all the vegan stuff, and that, let's see, is his name McDonald? No. I forget his name. He's the one who came out with the book called The Starch.
Starch Solution?
The Starch Solution. That's it. I want to say either McDonald, McDougall. It was something like that.
McDougall.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, and he's
awesome. Yeah.
And so you could basically live, I don't know indefinitely, but you could live a pretty good while just on potatoes, basically. And you get a lot of nutrients, and you get a lot of calories and vitamin C. And so you get a lot of good stuff from it. And so that was like a godsend when I heard that, because I thought, and even this lady here, this was another one of the incorrect statements she made. She said, stay away from starches. It gets converted into maltose sugars, and it's hard for your body to digest and break up, and it feeds bad bacteria, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, well, it's funny you bring this up, because, it's really hard for the average person to know what to believe about what's healthy or not. And
yes.
And yet here's the thing is, like, I've had routine blood tests, and so here's the thing, like, whenever I have, like, every so many months, like, I'm a client at Rediscover Mental Health, and so they do these blood tests, but my blood sugar, my blood pressure, my cholesterol, everything is fine. Like I have no bad cholesterol. My blood pressure is always the exact right range. I don't understand the numbers, but they tell me that it's good.
That it's good.
And so they're surprised, and so I tell them I'm vegan. It's like it's got to have something to do with that. The reason that, and so and it's so like, and the thing, like, with sugar is, like, like, you hear a lot of things about, like, sugar and carbs, making people obese and giving you diabetes. But I think that they're, like, I do eat a lot of fruit, like, no matter how much. Yeah.
They're misinformed too, because there's complex carbs and there are simple carbs. And
right.
People say, "Oh, I cut carbs," but they're eating fruit. That is still carbohydrates,
Right.
Right. Yeah. And in fact, I actually I've published 5 books. And here's the thing, like, my like there's this one book published that is actually all 5 of my books put into one book. So that's actually the 6th book. That's really the first 5 books, just kind of all put together, copy pasted from all the other files into one. But in the final book, the most recent book that I actually wrote, it's about the story of a man named Bob who's trying to lose weight, and he ends up meeting this vegan named Alice who lost weight accidentally by going vegan for the animals. So that's kind of how the book goes, and a lot of the information that Alice says is actually my story. You know, so it's interesting how that plays out, and I think you would enjoy that, because Alice also tries to explain the illusion of free will to Bob, and to not blame his friends who are being cruel to him and teasing him about being overweight. You know, it's to learn that. To see people as misinformed, not to hold anything against them, not to look down on them, but to look at these poor people, they're misinformed, you know. And it's like, so we have to have strategy and you know, when to educate people, when they're open to it. But yeah.
I got another question. I had asked this to Pafo, and I can't fully remember what his response was. We could have gotten distracted. And even however he answered, I don't know if he concretely knew the answer, but he may. I'll ask him again. But just in case, I'll see if you know. There's the claim that early man started to eat meat, and then so he started standing upright, and his brain started to grow, and his intestines started to shrink. Is there? And then Pafo, I remember saying that that's all a myth too. That's not the reason why our skulls got bigger. That I think maybe he had read that it's attributed to the fact that we started fire and that we started using our brains more. That it was more of a natural process, not because we started eating meat. Do you know one way or the other the truth behind all that? Because I would really be fascinated why
Aliens.
our brains and
just aliens.
Yeah.
Who the hell knows what went on back then? You know, there were dinosaurs and all sorts of things going on.
Yeah, I mean, that's my first question.
Yeah.
Is like, how do people know these things? Like,
aliens,
they pull up these.
aliens.
Yeah, it was aliens. When all else fails, it was aliens. But yeah, I mean, like, I would question, how do people really know this kind of stuff? Like,
I know.
I feel like, okay, now look, here's one thing that I'll say is, like, when it comes to science, like, I do have to take it on faith that, you know, that even basic things like, or here's some, for example, geography. Now, I'm geographically challenged, just ask my mom. But
Me too.
So I have to take it on faith that what's on the maps, the atlases, and the globes is accurate. How can I 100% know that people haven't just put Africa on the wrong place on the map and deceived generations? Like, how do I know that? You know, how do I know that humans really landed on the moon? Like, of course, I believe that because that's the commonly accepted story. But do I really 100% know that? No, I don't, and I don't care. There's a lot of things I just don't care about, and then, like, so I have a very, like, simple and practical approach when it comes to things like evolution and the Big Bang Theory and quantum physics and all this sciencey stuff that people talk about. I don't know anything about this stuff, not really. I can try to follow it, but to a certain extent, let's just admit that the general population just takes what a famous scientist says as fact, you know, because they don't know any different. And I feel like the only thing I've got, because I don't have a big education, I'm not a scientist, and I don't know anything really about that stuff. But here's what I have: is I have some basic logic. And I only use like logic and philosophy pretty much by asking questions and trying to reason things out based on what I can observe and know. So I have a very limited subset of things I would say that I really know. But like the protein myth, for example, you hear this, that people ask me like, well, if you don't eat meat, dairy, or eggs, where do you get your protein? And this is the easiest myth of all of them to bust. You don't need to be a scientist. You don't need to be a nutritionist or a dietitian. You just need to consider this question. If there's protein in meat, dairy, or eggs, where does it come from to get to that source? How does it get in those products? You know, and then you start realizing, oh yeah, it has to be from the plants that those animals ate. So it's a very, very simple, logical way that I knew that the protein myth was bunk. And so so it's not a thing about faith. It's not taking someone's word for it. And also like all these things about, you know, people saying, you know, they lost weight after going vegan and their health is so much better. It's one thing reading it and taking it on faith that what that person said is true. But then when you go vegan, then it happens to you and you experience it, well, then you know. And so I say everybody should be able to experiment for themselves, and only things that we can test and verify for ourselves are even worth discussing.
Exactly.
Yes. That's what I just got through telling my brother. I said, from now on, since there's so much misinformation, disinformation, I'm going to use my body as a guinea pig. I'm going to just test it. I'm going to eat the potatoes. I'm going to go on a vegan diet, and I'm going to find out once and for all who's full of shit, you know, and who's not.
Yeah.
And so, so far, so good. Let me quickly go ahead and read some of these horrible statements. It's from Gut and Psychology Syndrome, which is, you know, it's the GAPS. I don't know if y'all have heard about the GAPS diet. It's one of the really popular mainstream diets. It's right up there with the Atkins, the paleo, the ketogenic diet. She's really kind of a renowned author. And I don't know if she's technically a nutritionist, but she's an MD of some kind. That says, yeah, it looks like she has studied neurology and nutrition. So, but some of these horrible statements that we might laugh at one day for sure. And a lot of times she uses the term vegetarian because she finally does start to use vegan, but I don't know, maybe at the time that she wrote this, that was still not as, prominent at the time. But anyway, vegetarian children are more prone to health problems than children who eat meat, particularly to psychomotor impairment and diseases of the blood. Number 2, vegetarians are prone to muscle loss and bone damage. They, on average, have lower muscle strength. Number 3, according to census. Yeah, I know. Yeah. According to census data, vegetarians die younger than people who eat meat. Yeah, you know, one of the things that I keep seeing on these YouTube videos is all these like athletes and weightlifters and people who are like living to like 98 or 102. Just saw a gentleman who's like 104. He was a physician and he's still alive. He's a vegan. His mind is totally still there. He's like sharp as a tack, and nothing wrong with that guy.
Amazing, because like we're starting now. So imagine when we're their age, we're gonna be we're gonna live to like 200.
Let's see. I have no doubt that the fashion for the vegetarian and vegan diets is a major cause of mental illness in our young people due to
it's a fashion too.
And here's the funny thing. She says, due to all the misinformation about food published relentlessly in popular media, the population at large has been convinced that the vegetarianism is healthy. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. In parallel with protein deficiency, the child develops a severe deficiency in zinc because zinc in human diet comes largely from meat, red meat in particular. Yeah.
It's crazy,
man. It's just so, I mean, we know by experience this isn't true. You know.
Yeah.
And, you know, we would like baffle them, and that's the craziest thing, that it's like it's so simple, and yet like they're like, no, it isn't humanly possible when there's so many of us living for years, you know.
Yeah.
And some of us
Yeah.
even brought
Yeah.
up our whole life vegan. So.
Yeah, and okay, and here's another thing. Okay, horses, hippopotamuses, elephants, you know, gorillas, yeah, all of these creatures are herbivores. And they are so many more times stronger than any human. And like, and I'm like, so I know that you like that you're not going to be weak if you're eating all your plants, you know. I mean, I want to be strong as a horse. That's like my goal, because I love horses. In fact, on a related note,
you have a fitness goal. It's just a horse picture.
yeah. Well, you know, and here's the kind of funny thing, because you know, like I showed you, you know, like I've got some really insane arm muscles, you know. So here's the thing. Like now I work at Hy-Vee, you know, so it's hard, you know, with being a vegan and having to witness, you know, the products of the slaughter. But I'm in really good shape, because not only am I eating a vegan diet, but I'm doing heavy lifting almost all day. You know, I'm getting a lot of exercise, pushing the carts, lifting those enormous cases of beer. Oh, the topsoil. I loading those 40-pound bags of dirt into these customers' cars. So I do a lot of weightlifting by necessity of my job. Okay. Yeah. But I'm going to go beyond that, okay? Because guess what? At Rediscover, there's actually this exercise room, okay? And there's a health club. And so, you know, they're trying to encourage the clients to get exercise, be healthy, eat right, you know. There's a health club. Oh, I recently talked to my case manager about joining the health club. And so so my idea is I'm going to lift weights in that health, you know, in that fitness room, the exercise room, and you can eat, and they even have outings that you can go to the gym. So like, I'm going to take my fitness beyond just my extreme exercise at my job. I'm going to show people like that I'm the strongest vegan ever. So people will see me and ask, what do you do? And then I can teach them about the joys of veganism and how I became strong as a horse. Yeah. So that's my evil plan that you guys get a preview on.
Yeah, did you? I forget which documentary it was. It might have been What the Health. There was that firefighter who was climbing up that pole, and like he was like so physically fit, and someone who's you know, the way they make it out that these vegans are supposed to be like these sickly people. He did not look sickly to me at all. Here's a whopper. You got to hear this one. What these young people do not know is that plant foods are generally hard to digest, and they are low in useful nutrition. Foods from animal origin are easy for human gut to digest and assimilate, which I found that to be like, I can't believe she's saying that. And animal foods provide concentrated amounts of all essential nutrients for human psychology. I mean, there's some truth to that, but you know, as plant foods are hard to digest, and as they contain a list of anti-nutrients, that goes on. And then human gut has a very limited ability to digest plants and to extract anything useful from them. Like, I can't believe she's saying this. We live in a world full of misinformation about food. Vegetarian diets have been touted as healthy and planet saving and kind to animals for decades. Every one of these statements is not only wrong, but downright deceptive. Can you believe she said that?
I can't believe it, man. It's like, it's so an outright lie. Who's paying her to say this? That's
I know.
My question. You know?
I think she would at least understand that it is planet saving. It is saving the environment. I mean, just some of the statistics on livestock and all the methane and all the deforestation, that in of itself is, so I know she's wrong on that. I don't have to be a scientist to know that.
Right.
That statement
you still know there's wrong. Yeah, you know it's wrong. And here's the deal. if plants were so bad for us as she's trying to make it sound like plants really aren't good for us, I'm pretty sure that we'd all be dead by now. Because even if the humans all, even if the, I mean, yeah, we'd all be dead for sure because all we eat is plants. But even if all humans continue eating meat, that meat eats plants. You know, that those animals are eating plants, or they're eating other animals that are eating plants, or they're eating other animals that are eating plants. It always goes back down to something. Usually it stops at, you know, something is eating the fish and the fish are eating the seaweed and the algae. You know, it's like, but there's always plants somewhere that are being eaten. So we're all eating plants. Some of us do it directly and some do it indirectly. I prefer directly.
Yeah, that also reminds me of the bone broth that people tout the bone broth, and she does. She's real big on the bone broth about the collagen and the gelatin. But I saw a documentary recently that really busted that myth, because all that stuff really just gets broken down to amino acids, and there's a lot better ways to just give your body amino acids to build collagen, elastin, and gelatin, and all those things your body needs. So that's another myth that's been busted, at least as far as I'm concerned. That's awesome. So yeah, as far, you know, some of these let me see this law. Oh no, that one's not it. There was this one other comment. I got to read this one. This is the last one. The human digestive system is similar to the gut of predatory animals, such as wolves and lions. Our digestive system is fairly short, and we have only one stomach with virtually no bacteria in it. In fact,
bacteria. Oh, get real. There's so much.
Well, she said virtually no bacteria, but yeah, she's exaggerating that big time. And then she says, in fact, our human stomach is designed to produce acid and pepsin, which are only able to break down meat, fish, and eggs. So, like, wow. But in fact, I even learned that plant-based foods are really good at providing good bacteria, good flora for the body. And it's meat.
And fiber, sorry to interrupt you, but fiber to your stool, because we can't though physically break down cellulose. So that is something that humans can't do, and which is why cows have a few stomachs, that it slowly buffs it all down. But we need it for the fiber, and our bodies pull the nutrients out of all the plants. So.
And meats also carry all kinds of pathogens and bad bacteria that you don't want to introduce into your body. So if you had a plant-based diet, to me, that seems to be non-inflammatory and builds up the flora, the gut flora, the way you want it. In fact, she even admits that vegetables and fruits have their own like enzymes and probiotics. And probiotics why she would, it seems like she even contradicts herself in her own book, but yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, so things that are obviously false that we know better, you know. I mean, I think it's a wake-up call to everybody to really find a way of knowing things for yourself rather than just what somebody says, you know, in some book or somewhere, because it's kind of like a lot of it is just appeal to authority. If somebody's an authority, they have a PhD and whatever, and then people believe them, and that doesn't always work.
Yeah, it's a shame that like I love the scientific method, but what I would like to see more of is more peer review, more where people duplicate the experiments, because they never really do that. You ever look at studies that are done in scientific journals? There's always like that one study that some university did, and they don't repeat it. But if we could all have like more reliable sources where we will all duplicate that same experiment all over the United States or in Canada, wherever you're living, different provinces, different states, not a whole country relying on this one source, this one study. So even if whatever claim they make, we could put a stop real quick to all this poor information coming out of the mainstream scientific community if we would just put it to the proof and give it peer review and find out if there's repeatability to the experiments or the study, and because they just never really fulfill that. They never really do that, because I like statistics, but sometimes statistics can be misinterpreted or tweaked and exaggerated, and and the explanation of why they got those results, because there's a lot of, misinterpretation and stuff, because there's like a little grain of truth in a lot of what she says, even, what I read. But it's the exaggerations and the language that she uses that even she has been misled, I can tell. And if she can just see more reliable information, I know she's probably seen some of these documentaries by now. This is an old edition. She's probably flipping out right about now. There's already one instance where I know she's had to backpedal some, and it's because it's when she claimed she was promoting certain things like the bone broth, for example. It's now understood that that's a high histamine food. It actually causes inflammation in the gut. It promotes inflammation. And so now she's finally got on her website and in her new edition that you need to take histamine blockers before drinking the broth, the bone broth.
Don't have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So see, that's an example where she was wrong, and at least she admitted that she was wrong. But I respect her for that, for admitting it. But that just goes to show she's not flawless. A lot of people, they think just because it's been published and it's in a pretty book that it's gospel, and it's not always gospel.
Oh, I know, and I can tell you, like, a lot of stuff I said in my earlier books is totally shit. Like that's the author experience. You write stuff, and then later on you find that you were like totally wrong about stuff.
Yeah.
But that's just the story of life. I mean, you learn things.
That's like even like our opinions, our views, and as we get older, they completely change. We could be like, into one thing one year and completely gone the other way the next. So,
Yeah, it's like bittersweet and strange, finding you can change, learning you were wrong.
Another online doctor who's always giving advice is Dr. McCullough, and he's real popular. He's someone that I used to religiously, look at his newsletters and his articles and his essays. He's one of my favorites. He's such a nice guy. He's really intelligent, and he, on multiple occasions, which is one of the reasons why I have a lot of respect for him, he came out and did something that most people would not do, and that was admit that he was wrong about certain things, his thinking and what he was promoting. And he would go back and admit that he wouldn't try to remove the information and try to hide it, like some people do. He came out and said, you know what, guys, I was wrong about this. I've learned since then that this is true and blah, blah, blah. So if people could do that, like, I don't mind people making mistakes. If they can just come out, admit it, say, I'm a human being. I made a mistake. None of us are perfect. And especially when it comes to this whole dieting thing, which no one will ever fully understand. It's such a complicated puzzle to try to figure it all out. And the human body is so complex, and we're all somewhat an individual where we're going to respond to things differently a little bit. So there's not like this one magic bullet or this one thing, this one cure-all. Although I think the plant-based diet is pretty damn close, actually.
Yeah.
But
it's still very diverse, even though it seems limiting. It can still accommodate really anybody, like human-wise.
I actually think, I'm learning just how. One of the reasons why I'm loving this paradigm shift that I'm having, and this realization that the vegan diet is the way to go. And I don't know if you've known this, Chandler, but I've been wanting to one day create a network of communities where people would come together and try to grow most of their own foods and make most of their own products and their own clothes and all that. And I used to be riddled with the thought. I used to just be perplexed every time I thought about the fact that someone would have to kill chickens or whatever. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do about that? Because I'm not going to be the one killing them. And so, and I don't even want the kind of people who could do that to be a part of this network of communities. Yeah. I wouldn't want those kind of people involved, the mindset to be able to do that. So I was really up against a brick wall every time I thought about that. So now that I know that we could totally have a plant-based society where we just grow the food, we don't have to do anything about mass breeding or anything. It was like a huge weight off my mind to learn that, because I didn't know what the solution was. Especially even if you try to move out in space, have space stations or whatever, you can't have a bunch of cows or whatever. You know, you can't. I mean, I guess you could, but it's just not practical to have like breed a herd of cows and pigs.
And yet, from what I understand, it is possible to grow plants in space, isn't it? And the space stations.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've got the if you've got the carbon dioxide from the humans, you've got the oxygen from the plants. That would actually work.
Yeah.
I bet you people. Yeah, I bet you people are doing that.
It just wouldn't be sustainable to try to have farm animals and mass breeding in space. It just wouldn't work. And then it's, you know.
If you did that, you would have. Right, because if they actually did try to do that, they would run out of oxygen very quickly doing such a thing. You know, and so they would die. Anybody who tried
that buildup of methane.
Because they have to, and they have to.
Right, it would happen. Yeah.
They have to grow plants then, anyways, to feed these animals that they're gonna kill.
Right.
Yeah, so they need all that as well. So it just becomes way more complex and
even from a practical, economic, let's leave out climate change, let's leave out the pain caused these animals, let's leave out human health. It's not practical. It's not practical or economically sound to do something so wasteful as animal agriculture.
Right.
I think veganism really is like, it's the silver arrow.
Yes. It's freaking pristine there. You know?
Yeah, Clint.
There really is no fault to it.
I can't remember his last name. Do you remember Clint's last name from Australia?
Clint Grierson.
That's it. Grierson. I think that's it. He brought up the interesting point that if everybody, or at least a lot of people, let's say 80% of the human population became vegan, do you know how quickly that would pull the rug out from under all these huge corporations, the food industry, the meat industry, the dairy, all the corruption, you know, and also all the big pharma and all the people who are taking care of all the health problems as a result of all the meat eating and dairy eating. It's just like this vicious circle, and all these people at the top, all these elite people who control those industries are just making out like bandits and taking advantage of the human race being non-vegan. But if we all became vegan, it would just totally in fact, we probably need to be careful not to do it too quickly, because it would destabilize the world almost. You know, we almost need to do it gently.
Maybe that's the apocalypse waiting to happen. We're all gonna go vegan, and the whole world's gonna go up in flames. So
and then the zombie, you know, that's a metaphor. You know, the whole Walking Dead. It's all the meat eaters looking for the vegans.
You know?
Or the meat eaters looking for their meat source, and they can't find it.
I know. So they find the vegans. You know, the meat eaters find the vegans.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of zombies, do you guys play video games by any chance?
Well, I used to, but I always played the type of games, like I never cared for the shoot 'em up. I always liked the role playing or the building the community, building the cities.
And I watch playthroughs, so I don't actually play. I can't commit my time to playing. I've never actually played and finished a video game. Like, I've played a few, but I've never finished one. But yeah, I'm in love with like the Final Fantasy storylines and the art. But
I mean, I'll tell you,
I respect it for that.
My favorite my favorites were simulator games, like trying to land Apollo Limb on the moon, or trying to pretend that I'm Caesar and I build up a little a province in ancient Greece or something, or ancient Rome. So I did all that kind of stuff. But and I did back in the day, way back, Pac-Man and stuff like that. But I never really did a lot of the shoot, like they do a lot of shooting up now.
Yeah. Well, the reason I bring it up is, here's the thing. Like, see, I play Minecraft, okay? And Minecraft is like the king of video games. Like, almost everybody plays Minecraft, the best-selling game of all time, like over 160 million copies sold. And and the funny part about that is, it's surprisingly addicting. Like, if you've ever been addicted to Farmville, Minecraft is much more. Yeah, I was a Farmville addict. I was a Farmville addict. Yeah, like, seriously. Like, because I played Farmville. I've played Harvest Moon. There's this farming game called Stardew Valley on computers, and it's amazing. But Minecraft, what's unique about Minecraft is that not only can you build whatever you want, pretty much, you can build huge houses out of stone, wood, dirt, jack-o'-lanterns, melons. You know, you can build these houses, but you can also grow your crops. They need to add more plants to that, though. Like they've got wheat, beets, carrots, and potatoes, and pumpkins and watermelons. But they need to add some more different plants because there's a lot more plants in the world. But okay, so and during the day, you're going to be building and you're going to be farming stuff because your character dies if they don't eat. So you have to grow your food. But at night, out come the zombies and the skeletons and the spiders and the creepers, and they all want to kill you. So it's a survival game. Basically, live a sustainable life, grow your own food in this enormous world, and then defend yourself from the evil zombies and the skeletons that are trying to kill you. Yeah. And so you've got the mix of survival and challenge, plus you've got the simulation of Farmville all in one game.
Yeah, that sounds like I would enjoy that. It sounds like I would like that game because I like role-playing games where, you know, it's like a simulated life that you live and you do these things. So yeah, that sounds like something I would enjoy.
Oh yeah, Jamie Soden got me into it. I don't know if you know Jamie Soden, but he's on some of our podcasts. He's my British friend. He invited me to his Minecraft server, and so I've got stuff on there, man. It's so, and I have a horse too. You can actually tame the horses. Yeah.
You would, eh?
Yeah, seriously, yeah. So you get these horses, you feed them wheat until they're tamed, and then you can like buy saddles from this one villager and put them on the horse, and then you can ride the horses around. So it's like you've got everything, you know, and it's like it's an amazing game.
It sounds very familiar or similar to the game I mentioned. It's called Caesar. The one that I have, Caesar 3 and Caesar 4, and you do get to like grow your own, like, or have your own pig farm or have your own, you know, garden of this, and you get to build like a clay pit, and you actually, as an emperor, you try to manage your people, but you do create these little like real life industries or whatever and build them up. And you got to make sure you put the grocery store where it's close enough to get to the people and all this cool little stuff. And if you don't, your people will either die or they'll all start leaving. They'll take their little knapsack and start walking away, and they'll leave your city, and you'll finally become depopulated. But there's a lot of cool stuff, little ins and outs of it.
Yeah, that's funny because that's pretty advanced. But yeah, like the thing with Minecraft that you got to be careful is you got to protect your villagers from the zombies, because villagers are hard to come by. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So I mean,
how do you kill them?
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, you have various weapons. In fact, you can whack them with your fist. You can whack them with swords or an axe or a pickaxe or even a shovel, or you can even use bow and arrow and shoot them down that way. So there's different ways to defend yourself from all these monsters that appear, you know. And
I love archery. I love archery, so that would be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite method in the game, because quite honestly, being able to attack them from long range before they ever reach you is the safest of all methods. And like the final boss is a dragon. It's called the Ender Dragon. You go into this dimension called the End, and there's this dragon there you have to defeat to get to the end credits. It's like. Oh. It's just cool, like, man, it's like the ultimate game.
Yeah. That sounds like I would enjoy that. I've seen pictures of it, you know, online and stuff, but never have played it. But it does look like it would be fun.
Oh yeah, just talk to me sometime about that. I can recommend you. I can help you out, man, because that's some good stuff.
That's another one of those things, though, that I'd have to invest so much time into it. Like once I decide to get into it, it would consume.
Yes, it does. And this is why I don't have time for a girlfriend, besides all the other stuff I do.
Minecraft.
like, yeah, Minecraft. It's like Minecraft. You got to get my priorities right. You know, I like video games. I like growing since I can't grow real food since I don't have a yard even. I don't have any place. We live in apartments, don't even have a yard, can't even grow my own food. So I relieve my stress by creating huge food farms in my video games. And so, and I even sell all these vegetables like in like a lot of these games, and I get really rich. And it's like that I'm living the dream in the video game the way I wish that I get the opportunity to live in real life.
Do they have it yet? Do they have it to where you can have the virtual 3D experience?
Those are awesome. I've tried those.
Oh man, I bet you they do. I mean, because all this, because I mean, there's all this modern stuff that I don't even know about. Like there's freaky stuff, but yeah, but yeah. See, it all actually relates to the veganism talk we were having, because you know, like even in video games, like I have this thing where I want to grow my own food, you know, and that's the thing. It works. In fact, another game that you might like is Starbound. Starbound is where planet Earth is destroyed and you're like the last human survivor, and then you have to survive in outer space in other planets. You have to grow your own food, fight off the monsters that are trying to kill you. I mean, there's these incredible games that they will suck your life away though. So there's a warning to people. Once you get started, you can't stop, you know.
Yeah, you know, I had purchased Caesar 4 shortly right before I started getting ill, and so I got too sick to where I couldn't even play, and I had to listen to my younger brother playing this in the background while I was in bed sick. And I have still been waiting this whole time to finally get back to that game, because I spent $40 on that game. And I had played Caesar 3 for a long time, really loved it. And then they made a lot of these improvements. Like it was like a major quantum leap, you know, to a whole new level when they created Caesar 4. Like the graphics were better and it was more sophisticated. And I was like, oh man, I can't wait to play that. But then that's when my sickness hit and I was just struck down, you know, and I've been waiting ever since to have, because I know once I get involved in it, once I get into it, it's going to consume all my time, and I'm not going to be able to do anything, you know. And so, but I do want to find that space in my life where I could enjoy doing that.
Oh, I know, but yeah, man, I hope that you get a chance to enjoy that, because I mean,
and
Minecraft. It sucks when that happens. I've also had many years of being solidly ill too. That it's like. It's nice just to be able to find something that makes you feel good. Like,
that's the thing. I mean, and you know, it's amazing to me, like people find enjoyment in a variety of things. I mean, and I think that like a lot of people, they just, you know, watch sports and they watch TV and they get something out of it. But to me, I don't find that interactive enough. I have to be doing something. I have to be interacting. So I play video games so much, just because it gives me something I can do where I'm making progress. When I don't see progress in my real life, because I'm really not making that much progress financially or in other things that matter, you know, that feeling of making progress, that, you know, your progress is saved, you can go back to it, you know. It's just a nice feeling.
You feel accomplished. Is Minecraft set up to where you could also have other people who are like playing interactively with other players? Oh, really?
Yeah. See, the thing is, you can actually, you know, you can play it single player, obviously, but you can also play multiplayer. There's actually more than one way to do it. One way is this, like, let's say you and your friend are both available at the same time, and you can like invite them to your world. There's actually a way to invite them to your world, like set up a server and get them to join, kind of like a Google Hangout. So that's so it's doable. Now I haven't used that method yet myself. Jamie probably knows much, but what Jamie actually does is he actually pays like a small fee to have this server that's online even when he's not. So let's say that I or his friend Mark or he like can all be on at different times, yet we can see what each other have built. If we travel to that part of the world, we can see what they've built. And of course, characters, you know, if they're online, you know, they can give each other items, they can assist each other in battles, team up against the Ender Dragon. You know, it gets a lot easier when you have, because you know the enemies outnumber you. But if you play some multiplayer with your friends who are skilled, it's going to be easy. Oh, yeah.
I think that's another thing too. Similar to what you're saying with like the emotional part of it, a lot of the issue with people converting to veganism is this emotion we have over food. That if we can really find the root of what it is that's keeping us locked to these foods and be able to just get over that, it'd be so easy to transition. Like a lot of the times as people, they're like, oh, well, they think back to like their mom's cooking or something like that, or maybe like say food has always been a reward for them for doing something good. That if we kind of pull the mental, emotional aspect out of food and maybe start rewarding ourselves in ways of like, I don't know, going for a walk, going to go see friends because you went and like you studied hard, you did good on a test, go see friends, make that something like what you reward yourself. Don't go out and like go to supper, you know, like that's nice. It's nice to gather around. And I find a lot of our communication and a lot of our social aspect is very big into tying around food. And that was an issue for me at the time when I was extremely and highly sensitive to any gluten in my surrounding vicinity that was getting constantly sick, that a lot of times I would just not go to social events because I knew there'd be so much food present. So I found like a lot of that, if we can kind of cut food out of our social lives, man, it would be so easy for us to just progress or have people go maybe the vegan route because there's no emotional attachment to food.
Yeah, because like me, like I don't have emotional attachment to food. I'm the kind of person who like I have to eat and I just want to get over with. You know, I eat
That's same here.
Same
yeah, I just want to get over.
Yeah.
Like for example, in the morning, you know, like I know that I have to eat a big meal because it's very rare to get time to eat at work because I only get like a 20-minute break. And once in a while, I'm able to find a really, really cheap snack that I can eat really, really fast where I can eat in like 5 minutes. But I try to eat a really big breakfast. Like this morning, I had like 2 apples, a whole bunch of mixed nuts, and 2 bananas. Like, plus I take like the raw organic meal. It's like the supplement that has all these grasses in it. It's like it's all vegan. It's like so it's like all these different plants of all these different grains, like so stuff that I wouldn't be able to eat, but they have it in powder form. And so I highly recommend stuff like that. Like that's by Garden of Life. Garden of Life has a lot.
Oh, they're awesome. Yeah, I love
Garden
that
of Life. Yeah, I mean, in fact, I knew this guy. He would eat the perfect food that was produced by that Garden of Life company, and there would be a lot of days that would be all he'd eat. He would just consume that powder. He lived off of it. You can.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, you can do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah. I find like I've also been incorporating like different fasting techniques too, and I found it was really, really helping because starting school, I got into which I never thought I would. It was like just stress eating, and I ended up gaining weight. And I was like, "What the hell? I want to do that." But it was because everything is so fast paced that you try to just slam in food, and half the time it was crappy vegan junk at the time. And I finally have gotten that under control, and that was a big thing. And it was just, it was irritating, you know. I was like, what the hell? Like, what is going on with my mind right now? And so to pull your brain out of like the emotional aspect, now that I got my stress back under control, like everything's kind of under control.
By the way, it's almost 11. We started around 8.
It's almost like 12 for me.
I know. Yeah, we've been going 3 hours, and I hope that I've been keeping. Oh man!
Between Gaius and I think how far did we go up to last time?
We went 5 hours.
Oh man. Yeah.
I
Crazy.
I can't do that. Yeah.
I remember when I told you, because I'm a pretty thin person, and I'd been sitting in like this kind of hunch, and I bruised my spinal column on my rocking chair because I was sitting there for 5 hours, and the next day I was like, oh my gosh, what's up? And my back was just aching from just the wood pressed against my freaking spine for 5 hours. So
Yeah.
My voice also starts to finally go out and goes up to a higher pitch. So, you know.
Yeah, you guys, if you want to call it a night or something.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, I probably, I probably better.
Yeah, I'm just about talked out and ready to bring it to a close.
Yeah,
I'm getting sleepy.
But yeah, I mean, this was wonderful. I mean, this is absolutely wonderful because we shared, you know, like how we ended up going vegan and all the ways we benefited, you know, and all the we've gone through one reason after another of why we should be going vegan, you know. There's the big three, the health, environmental, and the ethics, but then, you know, there's the cost, and the practicality. I mean, there's all these wonderful things. It's absolutely solid that living off of plants is the way to go. It's it, and that's just what, if there's anything I'm confident about in my life, it's that.
Yeah.
We even got to talk.
Same here so far.
I even got to tell you about Minecraft. You know, I mean, it's cool. We covered everything, even video games, man. We've talked about everything. I think people enjoyed this, and since nobody took their shirt off, we can keep the video. No. She's joking. Yeah.
We're all flashing the camera.
And it didn't get confrontational.
That's how we'll get more viewers. You gotta show a little skin.
True.
There you go.
Oh man, you guys are too much. Oh man, but yeah, I mean, I think we'll have to do this again sometime. It's so much fun. So much fun talking with you guys.
It wasn't confrontational, so it was a nice, pleasant conversation. You know, nice and smooth. So.
Yeah, it wasn't confrontational because, for one thing, we're all on the same page here. You know, we're just discussing, you know, like these interesting situations, like about the pet ownership and about the backyard eggs. These things are interesting, but. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to get confrontational and debate about these things because I only care.
In the end, we're all looking just to benefit the world in the way that we can, and if we're all at different places in our lives, or we all different viewpoints, it's good to get a well-rounded look at things.
Because because you can be wrong, and we can all learn together if we were wrong about something.
Yeah. And where is a better place to share than among fellow peers, you know?
Yeah.
fellow vegans.
Yeah, this is wonderful. I'm so glad you were able to join us, Angie, because this is great. So
I appreciate the invite. I know I had asked Gaius if you had like a live link because I didn't know how Google Hangouts worked, and I think you thought that I asked to like join, but I was like, I don't want to be that person that just jumps in on conversations.
So I
wouldn't have invited myself. So thanks for the invite then.
Oh yeah, I mean, because I thought it was a great idea to meet another vegan. I'm always excited about that.
I kept mentioning her when I was talking with Pafo in these podcast sessions, and I kept thinking, you know, maybe I should ask her to just come on because, you know, I would explain some of the things that shared with me.
Anytime I can, I would.
So I thought, you know.
Yeah, and now that you've installed that plugin, you'll be able to join us easier.
Google Chrome.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll have to message each other and set up some other time that's good to do this because this is great. People are gonna. I don't know if anybody will listen to the whole 3-hour talk because that was long.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I mean, absolutely wonderful. So we'll do this again. It was great talking to you guys. As for now, have a good night. I'm tired.
Me too. Yeah. And send me a link to the raw video because I always like to download the raw video if I can. Since nobody took off their shirt, you know.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna stop the broadcast. Yeah.
All right.